before this. So we were very successful.
And we are... Oh, wait, hold on. There we go.
Yeah, I have the wet hair going too.
Welcome, everybody, to Tomb of Annihilation.
Tomb of
Schultz, no. Welcome to my tomb. I actually don't have the thing pulled up so that I can read that. Kashka, do you have access to that, or do you have it? I didn't post it. Wait, maybe I could get it. I can get it. No. So I can read the recap. There we go. I will just zoom in on my phone here. We'll read the recap, and then we'll introduce everybody. Actually, let's introduce everybody first. I'm Valen. I'm running a dwarven bard who's about to die. And then we've got, next to me, we've got Lissa.
Hey guys, I'm, playing Lizard Folk Barbarian. I'm gonna eat some things.
You have been so far. And then next to her, we've got Callisto.
I'm Callisto of the Bear God clan, and I am a half-elf druid.
And then next to her, we have Nerevar.
Yeah, I'm playing as human special sorcerer, special summoner rather. Tobias Salazar, who is commanding Arak Iron Scale.
And then, of course... Oh, go ahead.
No.
Okay. And then, last but not least, we have Kashka.
Hi. I'm trying not to kill them all. Or maybe I'm trying to kill them all. I haven't decided.
I thought it's the other way around. But she's the DM or Dungeon Master, Game Master, however you want to do it. All right, so let's see if I can actually read this on my phone. It's enlarged. Here we go. All right. Our group of adventurers continues in their pursuit of the Soulmonger, an artifact said to be cursing all those that have been resurrected before to waste away into nothing. Their search has brought them to the land called Chult, where dinosaurs roam wild. Needing a guide, they employed the help of Azaka. Upon completing her payment task, they also added a group member and continued on to Camp Righteous to find it deserted, but for a crocodile and man statue with a tunnel entrance at the bottom. The treasure was retrieved. A beautiful ceramic jug was the prize held at the end of the tunnel of traps. So far, its use remains a mystery. Tobias keeps an eye on the group from the entrance, but while he's distracted, Azaka goes missing. As the group exits the statue and begins tracking Azaka, they are set upon by a group of goblins eager to steal their new treasure. After dispatching the goblins, the group tried to track Azaka further, but with concerns of becoming lost in the jungle growing, they return to Camp Righteous and begin travel towards Camp Vengeance by boat. They make camp for the night, and while on watch, Ulfgar is lured into the jungle by a tiny inhabitant who begins casting a spell. Part 9, Enchantment. Enchantment! So, take it away, Kashka.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd given this little dude a coin, I think? Is that correct?
Hold on, I'm bringing up my character sheet here. We go. A coin. Oh, yeah. I had given them a gold coin because they ran off with... What did they run off with?
A spoon.
Your spoon.
A spoon.
You ran into the woods after him after
That's
I told
right.
you not to.
Yes.
Nicked your spoon.
I didn't go too far into the woods. I'm still within sight.
Not mine. I don't have dark sight. Remember, you get
Oh.
too far and I can't see you anymore.
It's not like I went that far from the campfire. You could probably see my backside or something. But that was the idea. Is I wasn't going to go outside of that. And yeah, a chwinga.
There we go.
A chwinga. One of these little
Chwinga.
dudes here. Let's see if I can zoom in
Yeah.
on this.
Almost like a little soot sprite from
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli kind of thing.
Let's see if I can...
It's a mixture between a soot sprite and a forest sprite from Studio Ghibli. You know?
I'm a fan of that. And so one of these little dudes has
Oh, your spoon.
stole a spoon. I asked for the spoon back, and it gave me the spoon back, and then I gave it a gold coin. And then it started casting a spell, and I was trying to find out what the spell was before it's too late, and it probably already is, so there you go.
you made an Arcana check, but weren't really familiar with what the spell was that it was casting. So this little dude is sitting. I think he was on like a big fern leaf. Sitting on this big fern leaf. He's taken the gold coin from you, and you can see. I mean, it doesn't have like particularly like specific eyes, I guess. Kind of like this mask on his face, but you swear the mask on his face, like it tilts up towards you, and then looks the coin tilts up towards you, and then you swear that if the mask could like grimace, that's what this little creature is doing. So it's like this, and then begins casting, and it's got the coin kind of in one hand like this, and then is casting over it, kind of like this, and so it starts casting, and you begin to feel just a little paranoid actually, because it finishes the spell, and you don't seem to notice like anything different about yourself or anything, but it takes this coin and chucks it at your head.
I try and catch it.
Okay. Make a dex roll.
Oh boy.
See if you can catch this thing.
Oh no! Wait.
Can I see all this going on?
That was
How
bad.
far are you heading into
Ignore
the...
that. That was not the dex roll.
Okay, that was like a save.
Yeah.
How far are you heading into the woods after him? Oh, sorry,
There we go.
Alyssa.
Oh, not very far, just far enough to where I can hopefully keep an eye on him. I guess I'll have a torch in my hand, since I'm like, and just in case I can't see.
Okay. So you can see Ulfgar kind of. I mean, you didn't have to go too far into the jungle after this guy. So you see Ulfgar standing kind of with his back to you. Ulfgar, do you have a light source on you?
None that I'm aware of. I just have dark vision. So.
Okay.
So it was I got a 13 for the dexterity, by the way.
Okay. So yeah, Valia, you see Ulfgar standing with his back to you. And then you see him reach out and snatch like something from the air by his head.
Ulfgar, what are you doing over there? Why are you playing with that firefly thing? Just leave it be.
I'm negotiating a return of our spoon.
I can probably make you a stick or something.
No, it gave it back. It was a good thing. I checked my pockets to make sure that I still have my coins as I put the gold coin back in my pocket, assuming it is a gold coin.
Yeah, so you put the gold coin back. You check in your pockets and you look back up again to the fern leaf where the little guy was sitting, and it's gone.
What's gone?
The chewinga.
Okay. And the gold is still in my pockets?
The gold is still in your pocket.
Okay. I was worried that it like cast some spell and stole all the gold off my person or something. So I have
I'm
no
gonna
idea what it
slowly
just cast.
back up to camp, like kind of backtrack and see if I can wake the others up.
So it
Okay.
just cast something and I don't know what it was.
Right. It cast something. It was holding the coin like this and casting over the coin. So it was doing this.
I might hesitate.
Finished casting.
Oh, sorry.
Chuck the coin at your head, and you're putting the coin back in your pocket. You're
Yeah.
talking to Valia. You turn back. You check in your pockets. You turn back around, and it's gone.
I might not actually let go of the gold coin in the pile of the rest of the coins in my pouch.
Okay.
I might pull it back out, put it in like a breast pocket, so I could check it later.
Okay.
And say, let's head back to the fire. They seem harmless enough. make sure that we haven't lost any of our other utensils in the process. Go back and all the pots and pans are gone.
Right. Nothing left. Nobody. Tobias is gone. Everything.
The fire is even missing.
No, luckily this isn't Ravenloft. But yeah, I mean, you get back to camp and looking around, everything seems to be as it was when you took off into the jungle after this little dude.
Okay. Interesting. So I'll continue just going back to what we were doing with cleaning up and our part of the watch and stuff. And
Okay.
I think they might be natives that live in the area. Probably more of them. Inquisitive things. We should probably make sure that we don't leave anything lying about as well. They seem to want to investigate stuff.
So, what kind of night is? More goblins?
No. Just these little fairy folk, it seemed. Some kind of fairy folk. Forest spirits, if you like.
Oh,
They're
fairy
like
folk
annoying
never-
mosquitoes.
What was that, Callisto?
I was going to say that's never good. They always want to do bad things.
So I'd investigate that coin. See if I could figure out if there's still a magical aura on it. Or if there is a magical aura about it.
Yeah. So, can you make another Arcana check?
Try.
Yeah, this
Pretty good.
yeah, you're fairly certain that this coin has some kind of magic imbued on it.
Right. Okay. I should have studied more in school.
You think that this the coin is now like a charm, actually. So you think that if you were to decide to kind of activate the charm, that you would, see some kind of result. You're not exactly sure what result that is, but
Awesome. All right. I'll definitely keep that in my breast pocket where it's easy to access.
okay.
Turns out it activates a fireball on the point. Yeah.
I was trying to heal them, I swear.
It's a bomb.
That's what I'm expecting. All right, so that's it. Continue on with, the normal watch stuff.
Okay.
Unless others want to do anything.
The rest of the night passes pretty much without. I think this was the last watch, right? Was this the
We're
last
almost there.
I'll say yes.
Oh, it's updated. All right. Yeah, I think this was the last watch of this particular night, and the rest of the watch passes without any further incident. So, yeah, you all kind of wake up fairly refreshed. I mean, a little bit disturbed by Ulfgar, like waking you up mid nap for.
I wouldn't have woken anybody up. I just would have.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, I just would have kept going. Unless I accidentally woke them up, but I wouldn't have done it on purpose.
All right. So then, where are you guys? Let's see what the weather's like first this morning. So it's pretty heavy rain actually when you wake up. It's yeah.
You know what
Not
that
too much.
means? When it's
Rain
raining.
catcher.
Yes. Rain catcher, refill our water skids. Oh my god.
Right.
No throat leeches for you.
No throat leeches. I can't deal with throat leeches.
Okay, so yeah, I mean you can totally refill any water containers that you want to. It's heavy rain. It's gonna supply you with quite a bit of water.
Hang on, we still have that jug. Maybe we should try to explode it today? the rain.
We should try doing
No,
what?
we never really like looked at it really too close.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Well, we heard stuff, but we couldn't actually see, but it looks empty.
I don't think we had much of an opportunity with Azaka disappearing on us. And then getting attacked by those goblins. What do you think it does, Callisto?
Holds a mysterious liquid that we can't get access to?
Do you think we need to put stuff in it?
I don't know, but it does. I can't imagine it would hurt to like fill it up with the water. Well, maybe it would, but I think say well, let's try it. Maybe the water will infuse whatever's in there.
That's a good point.
Do you want me to do it?
Sure.
All right, I'll fill it up,
Hey, go ahead.
and then I'll investigate it, or whatever.
Okay, so what you do is you set it out in the rain. You can kind of position it under a big leaf so it fills up quite quickly. And you've got basically a jug full of water now. Jug full of
Okay.
rainwater.
It's ingenious.
Can I like look at it a little closer, like to see if there's any, like if I drink it, I guess it'll just be
Why
water.
Why don't you make an arc? Actually, let's have if you all are kind of interested in investigating this thing, right? Why doesn't everybody make an Arcana check and see if you've heard of? Oh, I think Callisto might just have nailed it actually. So which makes sense, right? Because Callisto, you're the one investigating this. So
Oh.
Oh no,
Oh, sorry.
It was a group effort.
Ulfgar.
It was a group effort.
yeah, so Callisto and Ulfgar, you're kind of trying to figure this one out, right? And you kind of feel like actually you feel like you've heard of this jug before. So you might dump the water out, right? The rainwater that you just caught. But you seem to recall like hearing about an artifact like this that's somewhat rare, but it's an artifact where if you give it a command to fill with a particular liquid, then it does so.
So
That's nice.
So it's not the soulmonger. Okay.
So it's not the soul. Fill with the souls of no, I'm just it's not the soulmonger. But if you say the name of a liquid, then that jug fills with that liquid.
Jug filled with mead.
It fills with not quite mead, but wine.
Well, drink it. See if it tastes okay.
Are you drinking the whole jug?
No.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
She's just like, gulp.
And it's gone.
I got a long walk ahead of me.
Oh boy.
That's kind of cool. I like this thing.
So is it any good? Does it make good wine?
Tastes like wine to me. Tastes good. Decent, I think. I don't see any adverse effects, or do I?
Nope. It tastes like a regular kind of medium quality wine. It's nothing to write home about, but it's not too shabby either.
We don't need the rain catcher anymore. We have this jug that will just give us water.
Well, now it's made some wine. We don't know if it makes water.
Could be magical throat leeches in that water.
I'm really concerned that those abilities of this jug comes with the price, but we don't know the price yet.
Yes.
So
Maybe it
I
takes
guess-
the equivalent liquid out of Azaka and puts it in as its fuel.
Wow. No bitterness there or anything.
Well, everyone watch me for the next 24 hours and see if I start to my juices end up in the jug. I don't know. I dehydrate.
Yeah, so for those interested, now that you guys have figured this out, you know that this is classic alchemy jug. So that's kind of the artifact that you found.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we can make alchemist fire with this thing?
No. If you're interested, you're pretty sure you can make beer, honey, oil, vinegar, fresh water, salt water, wine. Can also make small amounts of acid, smaller amounts even of a basic poison, and of course, my favorite, mayonnaise.
Oh, somebody else has to take this jug from me. I can't do this anymore.
So it makes them in varying amounts, and you're pretty sure that it can't. Once you name the liquid for the day, it can't produce another one until the following day.
Okay.
So
So
if
wine
you
all
say,
day.
So
like
we're
fresh
stuck,
water, then it's going to make
we are
fresh
stuck with wine until next day.
That's all right.
Could be worse. Could be mayonnaise.
Yeah. We've got fresh
What's
water.
wrong with mayonnaise?
So we should be fine. You can't drink mayonnaise and sustain yourself on a regular basis. Or at least I can't. Maybe you can. Right.
That's not what I meant.
So that was quite educational. I think that's actually a very good item to have along with us. It'll at least sustain us for our liquids in a pinch. So, shall we continue on to Camp Vengeance then?
Yeah, we should move out.
Yeah.
I don't want to run on the other group of goblins.
Back on the river. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Assuming that nothing like suddenly made the boats disappear that we had beached.
Nope, the boats are still there.
Good. We're all distracted with a mayonnaise jug, and 300 of these pixies show up and just like march off with the boat. Excuse me, chwingas.
Chwinga.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think we're doing same
Yeah,
as
I think
before,
we're doing
where
relatively
Nerevar
good.
is flying above.
Correct.
I guess I'm boating by myself. You could, if you want, you could boat with me and let a rock scout ahead. Because I don't have a Zaka in the boat with me anymore.
Actually, Azaka left us at Camp Righteous, so
It's true. It's true. And then the other two would be in the other boat.
So wait, hang on. So Ulfgar, you're in a boat.
Mm-hmm.
and
Tobias?
we both
You're in a boat. Okay.
are
then-
just right above us.
Okay. All right. So Eric, the purpose is for him to kind of scout out up above you. That
To look on incoming danger.
okay.
Let us know when the Terrafolk are about to kill us.
Why don't so yeah, you set out and this portion of the river it's actually kind of wider and perhaps deeper as well than you might expect. Or than you've seen on your journey kind of upriver so far. So it widens and deepens and the water is actually really black looking as well. So you're kind of heading in that direction. And why don't you have Eric make a perception check to see how he's doing, if he spots anything.
Okay. Perception.
Okay. So from his vantage point up in the air, And are you sharing sight with Eric, or how are you guys?
Yeah,
keeping contact?
we're sharing information between each other.
Okay. So he tells you that he can see a really big shadow in the water up ahead. And he's saying it's really big. You know.
Yeah. Watch out! There is something in the water. Something very big
What? Where? Where?
underneath us.
Now? Oh my gosh! Quick to shore!
So it's actually a little bit further ahead of you. So you still have time if you want to do something different.
Yeah, we should probably head to shore, just in case.
Ulfgar's saying that a shadow in the water, a danger in the water has been spotted. We should get out.
Let's head to the bank of the river. Arax, you stay up in there.
Okay. So yeah, you can paddle off to the banks of the river. And what are you doing with your boats, with your canoes?
Probably beaching them here.
Okay.
Would we be very far off from Camp Vengeance at this point, from our estimations, or would we be able to just like walk over there, or is it just there's this thing blocking our path in the river?
So are you which side of the river, I guess, are you beaching the boats on?
Same side as Camp Vengeance, so on the right, I guess, if we're going down.
Okay. Sure. So you think
my
that,
right at the time, looking south. There you
Yeah.
go.
you think that if you beach the boats here, then and walk for kind of the rest of the day, it being kind of about mid-morning at the moment, you think that you would reach Camp Vengeance by nightfall?
What about each of us?
As long as you don't get lost.
Yeah, right. What if we take two of us takes a boat, turns it upside down, and carries it above us, and we try to traverse around the item in the water, so that we can continue on down the river past this shadow. Anybody object to that?
No. Although the shadow might just follow us.
Well, I'm thinking that we get well past it.
We don't know for certain what that creature might be, or is it any creature?
It might even be a large group of small creatures. Either way, I think we travel for
or
right, piranha. It's a giant swarm of throat leeches.
Well, we only need one boat for 3 of us, so I say it's probably not a bad idea.
I'm more concerned for the fact that we might need to transport some gear in the future. Or perhaps even an injured person.
How heavy are the boats?
Should we run into Azaka?
She can just like hang on to the boat as we paddle down.
Meaning she could be injured. Or, if she's not, I know someone in the party who might actually oblige that. And put her in said state. But I was just thinking we could try and get down a bit further. If not, then we just abandon the boats and continue walking. If we feel that it's not to our advantage.
For how long do you wish to carry these boats?
Maybe an hour. Unless, of
How
course,
heavy
the
do you
shadow
think the
follows
boats-
us. In which case, if the shadow follows, then we just continue past by. And just drop the boats off at that point.
Yeah, Nara could stay above the water. To see if that shadow makes any movement.
So how far above the water is it?
2 inches.
How heavy are the boats?
2 inches. No, it'll be a couple feet, like 10 feet maybe.
Okay.
And how heavy are these boats?
The boats are and you could lift them. If one of you has each end and kind of does actually as Valen describes or as Ulfgar describes, lifts them up, kind of puts them up above you. You could definitely lift them that way. You could also just kind of pick up one end each and carry them that way. It would be a bit more kind of cumbersome, and you're going to struggle with the undergrowth a little bit more. But if you don't want to put them up above your head, you could do it that way as well.
Oh, if it's still
I
raining.
hope
Oh, sorry.
Ulfgar, because he's a little closer to my height.
I'm a fan of this. Also,
I could probably
if
easily lift one end, definitely.
it's still raining, then this will also give us a little bit of shelter from the rain. So
It is mid-morning, so it is still raining. Not quite as heavy as it was when you first started out, but yeah, it is still raining.
all right, boatward.
So you're doing the thing up above your head and going through and there's a bit of undergrowth kind of on the riverside, but not as dense as when you head further into the jungle.
Kind of.
Flippy, you just running around in the middle between me and whoever else is carrying the other one.
Oh, he's lost.
Yeah, I'm behind Ulfgar,
What are you
so
doing?
let him.
That's Flippy. Really confused.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Flippy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's why we had the.
How could you?
He actually replaced Azaka on the on our little cover frame here. So
Lose one party member, gain one party member of equal intelligence.
Oh! Remember that equal intelligence is NPC'd by Kashka. So
Maybe more loyalty though.
Yeah, definitely more loyalty.
yeah, here have some
Intelligence,
food.
I'll give him at least a -1. I mean, come on.
All right. So you continue on for for about an hour. You said you were going to do this.
Unless
and-
we see the shadow continue to follow us.
Yeah. Erok, if he's staying in the air up above the shadow, it actually seems to be more interested in the shadow. Seems to be more interested in what Erok's doing than what you guys are doing on the banks. So, so yeah, you can continue on down the. Sorry, Lulu is snoring pretty good. Continue on down the bank for about an hour without any particular interruption from the shadow in the water. It's currently being kited by Erok, so.
So it's intent on following Erok, though.
At the moment, it does seem to be. Yeah.
Well, since Erok is actually following us, well, actually, I should say, are you communicating this information to us, Tobias?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then perhaps have Erok go in the opposite direction, then turn inland, and then come back to us, so that it draws it off in a different direction.
I would rather not to be separated.
I was just meaning have it just, like a minute back that way, and then have him come back around on land and see if it actually grounds itself and stops following. And by inland, I just mean like he flies over the land and then meets up with us. Not like I'm asking him to go very far. Just enough to throw it off the course so it doesn't continue following.
Okay,
What's the range on your communication with Erok, Tobias? Do you know?
I'm not sure if it's specified. It's just I'm sharing bond with my Eidolon, but there's no range limit, it seems.
Okay. So you okay, yeah. So you can kind of, through that bond, you can kind of sense if Erok is in trouble or scared or happy or
He's very concerned.
embarrassed, needs to go to the bathroom.
I'm sure. I'll back it off. I'll be allure this time.
Just a little bit.
Like any other. Okay, fine, go ahead.
Okay.
So like here, actually, I can illustrate. So,
Oh boy.
if this is the river,
You
then
drawing on the
let's
map.
do red, and we're following along the side. Erok could take. Let's actually do a different color for Erok as well. Erok could just go back down the river, then just fly overland, and catch back up with us. So
Were
that
you
he's-
drawing?
Okay, if you're drawing, we can't see you.
Yeah, I don't see it.
You don't see my drawings on there?
No.
Nope.
He's like drawing in the mud and the water's just washing it away. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's in the top left area where somebody else drew like a little yellow house or something.
Oh, what is going on?
All right, here, let me delete these things and I'll do this
I
again.
see.
All right, so let's make the blue be the river. So the river is going, let's say, like
Okay.
this, right?
Okay.
And
Yep.
we are headed that way.
Okay.
And we are traveling along the river shore like this.
Mm-hmm.
And if this green is Erok, we have him go back up this way and then come back around over land and then just kind of like using the cover of the trees meet back up with us so that
Sure.
it can't see him from the river. And if it comes out of the water, then we're in trouble, whatever it is. But either way,
And we just run screaming like small village children. Ah!
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no worries. All right. So yeah, you guys kind of deployed the plan. Eric starts to fly a bit, kind of downstream from where you are, and as he's flying, actually, he notices that he doesn't have to go that far before the shadow just kind of loses interest, and or maybe you can't tell if it loses interest or not. Lose interest is probably the wrong word.
Stop
But
following
the shadow stops following and kind of returns to the area where Eric first saw it.
Okay. That's good. That's great.
And then Eric is able to kind of, if he's traveling over land, he can easily meet up with the rest of you if he wants to, or if he would rather go, to a barbecue at Vaughan, then that's totally fine as well.
They've got a barbecue?
Didn't I tell you? Ribs, beer.
Salted pork. All
Oh,
right.
boy.
Goblins, no thank you. The way the goblins are going last, no thank you.
Excuse me. So then
Had enough of those guys.
if the trouble's past, then we could get back into the boats on the river and continue downstream.
I don't think I want to get back on the river. I think we should follow.
Wait, are you a
Land.
lizard? You being a lizard folk, I never thought I'd hear you say that. Don't you sleep mostly in water?
Yeah, but you remember that river croc that we passed? He was pretty camouflaged up until we got too close to him. So
Right.
I would assume this thing's probably hiding and waiting. It knows something's out there and it's gonna wait for it.
So then you want to continue on with that full hour of travel before we get back into the water with the boat?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we should.
All right. Better to play it safe than sorry.
I mean, I'm all for adventures, but we've got plenty coming, I'm sure.
I understand you're afraid of your big brother. It's good.
I'm so gonna eat you.
Wait, what?
You. Flippy sees a bit of like, so he's like, he's squinting at you. His head drops a little bit. He's like,
Excuse me.
So you walk on for another hour with the boats? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Alright,
trying
yep.
to skedaddle around this shadow.
Are you gonna have?
I'm just mumbling away to Flippy like he really understands half of what I'm saying. It's like
Flippy's nodding
singing
his
some
head.
horrible like song to him. It's like Flippy, you're a bird, Flippy. Just some like random words, just like with like the worst voice possible.
Oh,
Flippy's
God.
nodding his head. Like, yeah. Like, even when you could say, like, Flippy, you're a bacon sandwich, and he would nod his head. Like,
Yeah, yeah. He's like, yeah, I know everything.
So, are you gonna have Arok continue with flight above the river as well?
Yeah, for the time being, I see no downsides.
Okay.
Iceberg, dead ahead.
I'm thinking Godzilla, but okay. No.
Godzilla's throwing an iceberg.
Yeah, so an hour goes by. Arok's flying up above the water. You're trundling through overgrowth on the riverbank with your canoes, and nothing of note happens.
Yay! We're not dead yet.
Not dead.
Yet.
Okay. So you're putting the boats back in the water?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I give Flippy his petrified goblin arm and tell him if anything happens, you take this and run. Not that he pays attention. I know he doesn't understand, right? You know.
A petrified goblin arm. I love
From the one
idea.
that I ripped the arm off, he still plays with it. I salted it and everything. It's all dried out.
Mm.
Yep. Lovely.
Yep.
Yeah, it got kind of stinky there for a while, but but it seems to have settled down. Yeah, so boats go back in the water, and you're on your way again. And yeah, I think about mid-afternoon, you approach where you expect Camp Vengeance to be, and sure enough, through the foliage, you see crude timber fortification. It's a walled compound with watchtowers, and it seems to be like encircled by a ditch. And you see lots of like sharpened stakes in the ground as well, like big logs, you know. And you can see facing towards the river is a large kind of gate. It's a big old gate that opens out onto the river.
Okay. I think that this is more along the lines of what Azaka was looking for from Camp Righteous. Defenses.
All right,
It
I'm gonna
look like my fortress than a camp.
go to the map.
Let's get rid of the chewinga here.
You should be able to see the corner, the top right corner of this map should be unveiled for you.
Okay.
Yeah, do you see that? Or
Yep.
okay,
Yeah, correct.
cool.
Um,
So yeah, so this is kind of what you see. So you can see these wood fortifications here. We've got spikes in the ditch here.
Mhm.
You can see like they seem to have a selection of their own boats and canoes tethered at the shoreline.
Mhm.
And then there's a big old gate right here. And you do see actually a couple of guards up on this gate tower.
Okay. Do they appear to be humanoid in shape?
Yes, they do appear to be humanoid in shape.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm going
We're
to...
like up here in this area.
Well, I think we're in the water.
Yep, you guys are in the water kind of over here.
Okay.
And
Oh yeah, I
you've
forgot we're
actually
in the
kind of-
boat.
Oh, you're actually a bit further off than this map allows. So you're not that close yet. The guards actually haven't seen you yet. So you still, if you want to continue your approach on water, obviously you can. If you want to change your approach, you still have time to do so without, they haven't seen you yet,
I
basically.
think we should probably hit shore, kind of walk slowly up that way.
Okay, what are informations about conventions? They are friendlies or not?
As far as we know, they're friendly.
So there is no reason to sneak up on them because that might be.
Well, approach them slowly. I don't think we should just kind of coast up in there and be like, "I'm on a boat, people," and
Yeah, we would not have cover if we were in boats in the water, but that would
yeah,
be the most peaceful approach as well.
yeah. If there's guards on a tower, they're more than likely archers or spear. They may have spears. I don't feel like getting impaled today by anything.
Yeah, just
FYI.
just try not to look like we are raiding this fort.
Fly casual.
Like,
Fly catch.
I'm
I look
not
at Flippy.
sure how
Act
they.
professional, Flippy.
You might want to bring in Eric and have him kind of stay low for now. You don't want them
Yeah, I
getting
think
a
if
bit
they
nervous.
see a big
Yeah,
dragon
I
flying
have no idea
about.
how they might react on flying metal dragon.
You could have him land in the boat with us.
I think he's a little big for the boat.
Oh, I guess he is the size of a horse, but I mean, there was enough
Yeah,
that all of us
he's
could
also
fit into
a
one boat
horse.
before. So
That can do.
I mean, Flippy's pretty big himself for what he is, but
Well, he's just like overgrown chicken, so.
I cover his
Flippy,
ears.
why?
I cover his ears. You, sir, should not insult such creatures like this and pet him on the head.
now, however you want to deal with it. If you think he's a little too heavy for the boat, then that's fine. Perhaps we should go along shore, and I'll take a more, I don't know, practical approach. I could approach by myself and put less risk on the party. See if we can parlay and if it's safe to enter.
Yes, you could talk to them until they fall asleep, and then we can enter safely.
See, now that's... Hey, wait a minute.
No, we should definitely go to shore, though.
Yeah. Let's drop off boats and take out the shore.
Whoops, I just spilled my tea.
Somewhere around here.
Yeah, just like the north area, somewhere on shore.
Because I'm sure that's lower than this, so we won't be as much visible.
Well, I plan on making myself visible.
Could you show me? Hang on one sec. Let me zoom back out. I was zoomed in. Can you show me one more time where you plan on landing the boats?
I'm thinking I was around here.
Yeah, unless there's a better spot further off the map, but yeah, I would agree.
Okay, so kind of gonna land the boats a bit further downstream on the same side. Within view of the guards, or are you trying to keep the boats a secret?
I would like to try and keep the party a secret at this point, and so that I can approach without putting everybody at risk and find out if they're going to just instantly attack anybody.
Okay, so you're approaching by yourself.
Unless others have an objection to it or they want to accompany me, yes.
If you don't mind, I'll go with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Arak should stay. You should stay behind.
Yeah.
As we'll fall behind a little bit in that way, just in case.
Well,
Alright.
if you hear if you hear me make a loud sound, then you know that things have gone awry.
I'm sure Arak will inform them sooner than your screams can reach them.
Basically, if you hear me cast my thunder wave.
That's what they do too.
All right. So
Okay.
we beach, we land,
Mhm.
then the two of us walk on. I'm not
Let me
taking
ask-
any cover or anything like that. I'm just kind of making myself visible. Excuse me.
I'm just gonna grab your player tokens as well.
Oh crap.
Mhm.
What? So paranoid. Okay. What's the point in having fancy maps if we're not going to use tokens on them?
No. I'm fine with it. I gotta be careful not to burn my tongue this time on the tea.
Probably a good idea. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No. I think...
I see me. I'm
Yeah,
here.
but I don't think...
What?
No! I put Valley as... Oh, wait. I managed to get Valley. Hang on. Let's see if I can... There we go. Okay. Sorry. I pasted them and you guys went just off the map. All right. So... Yeah. And actually, it'd be good if we... Well, I'll get a token for Flippy in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. So then you guys are proceeding up the bank
Yep.
towards the gatehouse, and as soon as you get kind of within visual, the guards say, "Who the hell are you? Identify yourselves!"
I'm Ulfgar of the Emerald Enclave, here to seek refuge. We've lost our guide. Can you help us?
Stay there. And actually, now that you're getting closer, you also see something a little more sinister about the camp. You see scattered around the fort piles of actually charred human corpses and animal carcasses. And overall, actually, as you get closer, the smell from the camp is not pleasant at all. It smells of kind of death and decay and
Vengeance?
like pestilence and yeah, it's not the odor that's kind of coming off of the camp is not a pleasant one at all.
The
It smells
voice,
pretty.
the voice that shouted to us, did it sound potentially human?
Yes.
Okay. Human, elf, dwarf, something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So are you staying where you're at, or
Oh
are
yeah.
you?
Don't want to get shot. Just kind of standing
Okay.
there.
Hmm.
So you see one of the guards kind of disappear a bit further back in here as you guys are getting a bit kind of closer. You can see kind of the back of the gatehouse as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see as well this continues on like around here. So you see one of the guards motion kind of and another guard comes up to the tower, and you see them talk for a second, and then the guard that just arrived kind of runs off, and the guard on the top of the tower says, "Stay there."
I.
And probably a good like 5 minutes goes by.
Okay.
You just kind of hanging out there still.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm shouting loud enough that they could I would imagine that the rest of our party could probably hear us as well.
Okay. So then, okay. Then eventually the gates start to open, and out walks this oh, sorry, didn't mean to ping down there. I'm just trying to scroll. Come on. Out walks this dwarf actually. And he's accompanied by another guard as well, whose token I am just grabbing now. So he's accompanied by another guard, and they both begin to approach you.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll say to Tobias, don't draw any weapons. Unless they make an aggressive action.
So these two fellas here
Mm-hmm.
come up to about here, and yeah, you can see one of the guys is he's a male dwarf, and the guard that's with him is male also and human. And the dwarf is where he's got, you see, he has a long sword at his side.
Mm-hmm.
He's also let's see. He's also wearing some armor as well.
Mm-hmm.
The guard is a little less kind of well equipped.
Okay.
So
I should stay
the
next to Olgar, rather.
the dwarf
A duel.
the dwarf says, "Who are you?"
Ulfgar of the Emerald Enclave. We've come from We've come by way of Camp Righteous, but we've lost our guide. We're attacked by a bunch of goblins along the path. We're hoping to seek refuge for the night and perhaps gain some more information about where we are and how to get where we're trying to get to.
Says, "Where are you trying to get to?"
Well, we've been sent to try and locate and destroy, if possible, the Soulmonger. Who are you, and what are you doing out in, and what happened at Camp Vengeance here? This is Camp Vengeance, yes?
He says, "Yes, it is." He says, "I don't know the soulmonger that you speak of." He says, "But we're not in habit of providing room and board for jungle explorers." And he's approaching. He doesn't seem to be particularly aggressive, but he is kind of approaching. The guard is staying a bit further back and has kind of has a watchful eye over you.
Okay. Does it look like he would expect me to approach as well, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's not particularly aggressive.
All right.
It's like chess here.
Yeah.
Move your spaces,
Let me
I
move my
move your
rook.
spaces.
All right. So, I'd say I'm Ulfgar of the Emerald Enclave. We don't mean to obtain any resources. We only look for directions and potentially to see if you've seen our guide. She goes by the name of Azaka, and I give a description of her.
He says, "We haven't seen anybody like that."
What troubles you here?
He says, "That's a long list." He seems to relax a little bit. He says, "It's a very long list."
Might
He
we
says,
be
"You've
of
been in the
assistance?
jungle?" What's that?
Might we be of assistance?
He's like, "Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you can." One second, sorry.
I see you've lost some people. Do you have injured that need healing?
He says, "Well, Commander Breakbone," he says, "will soon put you to work if you enter the camp."
We're not interested in slavery. If that's what you're implying. But if you need us to earn our way so that we can stay for a night or two, then we'd be willing to do so.
He says, "Well, there are many sick soldiers inside. Do you have any means of healing?"
I have some.
The same as I. I'm
He
going.
said-
I'm pulling Olga to the back and whispering, kind of behind the leader. Should we mention that we are not only ones?
I just kind of like motion like, not right now. type thing, you know. So what's been going on? Why do you have so many sick and wounded?
He says, he says, have you been in this jungle long? He says, you can't stay in the jungle without encountering illness and disease. He says, by day, it's the dinosaurs and the, other wildlife that attack our fort, and by night, it's undead. The undead hordes rise and attack our fort every night. Says our soldiers are exhausted.
Undead hordes. Why, I was not told that there were undead in the area. We've only experienced normal jungle life here. How did this come to be?
Perhaps you haven't ventured far enough into the jungle then, but you're here now.
This much is true. Well, if you'd have us for some help, we'd be glad to offer some, and perhaps even look further into what's causing your issues. This soulmonger could be part of the cause. I'd be welcome to talk more with your commander and see what myself and my party can offer to assist.
He says, oh, if you want to stay, you'll need to speak with him for sure.
Very well.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
And he'd kind of look over at Tobias and kind of like expectantly kind of look at him like, kind of like shake his head yes at this point. What do you say? Do you think the others would be interested?
Yeah, they have not much choice either way.
You see, the dwarf is kind of, like trying to strain to hear what you're saying.
He turned, Ulfgar turned back to the dwarf. Say, what's your name?
I am Ord Firebrand.
Org Firebrand.
Ord.
Ord Firebrand.
Ord.
Okay.
Firebrand.
I love my
Little
pencil.
copy paste here.
Ord, there are more of us than you see here. I did not want to give any kind of threatening presence. I have 4 more back with our boats a little bit further upriver. Might we all enter and parley with your commander?
And he kind of like, he's a bit like, oh, really? You've got more?
Some of them are healers.
Oh, he says, then yes, they should come and talk to him.
All right.
Okay, lead the way then.
Okay.
Oh, we should get the others.
So
I already called Arok. Joe
Awesome.
passed the information to Callisto and Valia.
So what am I thinking? Callisto and Valia, what have you guys been up to? Are you just kind of waiting, or?
I'm just kind of looking around, see if there's anything going on around us.
I'm just petting Flippy, waiting.
Our therapy axe beak.
There we go. That's better size for Flippy. All right.
Oh, he shrunk.
He shrunk. Largely. Okay. So you all. So yeah, Ulfgar and Tobias, you both go back to get Dahlia and Callisto, or describe like what you guys are doing.
Well, I think Tobias had told Arak what was going on, and Arak communicated to the others, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess we start making our way to where they are.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I guess we'll slowly walk in and I'll say to Rock, did he say undead? We already had to deal with goblins. Really? Undead?
Yeah, we cannot be sure. But when the night will come, we will be for certain.
Well, I hope you don't have taste buds, because that's probably they're probably not very tasty.
Mm.
So
Well, this should be fun.
when Ord sees sees Erok, he's like, "What is this?"
I wait for
A very good friend of mine.
And he kind of
Rather more than friend.
approaches, and he's looking around Erok like this, he's like, and he's like, he seems very like hesitant, and he's never seen anything like it before in his life, basically. And he's like, is it gonna eat me?
I just like giggle.
So does Ulfgar. Excuse me.
And when you giggle, actually, Ord looks at you, and he goes, "And what is this?" And he points at Valia.
What do you mean this? What is this? And I point back at him. I'm like, we got another one that talks? Oh, this is going to be a long night.
They're my friends and loyal companions. We've all come this far so far together. And we've no reason to eat you unless you've given us reason to do so.
Okay. All right. So,
See, I didn't say we weren't gonna eat him.
very diplomatic of you. So yeah, if everybody's following into the camp, then let's unveil some more here.
Woo.
So as you enter the camp, you see
The fog of war lifts.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna unveil a whole bunch of it at this point because there's not much point keeping it hidden anymore. Nice if that bit would go away, but whatever. Okay. So yeah, before you see the interior of the camp as well, and it's come on, no, you broken? Oh my god. Okay, let's try that one more time. Going this way then. You see tents. It looks like Camp Righteous might have, before it was kind of, ruined, basically. So you can see there are guard towers around the camp here and here and here. These are, and then this one over here as well. So there are these 4 guard towers around the camp, as well as the gatehouse. There's an animal pen over here that has some goats in it.
Oh boy.
There's kind of a main tent here. There's a couple of smaller round tents that you see, and then you can see kind of behind that what look like normal soldiers' tents as well.
I tap Ulfgar on the shoulder. Look, it looks pretty intense in there. And I just giggle.
Do you mean the smell?
Ulfgar just kind of smiles at you and says, "I've taught you well."
Yeah, this smell, as you get further into the camp, the smell just becomes stronger. And actually you notice as well that there are flies as well, massive amounts of flies. They're kind of just in these swarms around camp. There's a fairly large swarm over the animal pen area. And you just feel like you're constantly kind of like wafting away flies that kind of
Yay.
are like fresh meat as you guys walk in. So Ord takes you fairly directly through to the front of the tent here and speaks inside briefly, and then out exits the commander, who is human. He's male, and he says, "Commander Breakbone, we have some travelers, who are looking to assist in exchange for a place to stay overnight. And Commander Breakbone looks over. So is everybody kind of coming in, or?
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
There we go.
Okay. So he, Commander Breakbone, starts looking over the group, and you feel like he's assessing each of you as he looks at you. He's kind of, you see him noting your equipment.
I'd be doing the same to him.
So he's human man, right? He is wielding a rapier, and he does have a breastplate that he's wearing. He doesn't Ord looked like he'd seen, some fights in his day, and maybe he had a couple of scars, or chipped tooth, or something like that. Ord looked like he'd been in a couple of battles. Commander Breakbone doesn't look anything like that. He looks as clean as you could possibly look in this camp, and his gear looks like it's not particularly well used.
Okay.
He says when he looks at Erog, he says, "Explain this to me."
And what is to explain?
It's a summoned magical creature that is also a companion of Tobias, and his name is Arok.
He says, "Which of you is Tobias?"
I am. I'm pointing on myself.
He says, "This seems like a very valuable object to be bringing into the jungle." He says, "A magical construct like this is extremely rare."
Actually, I am the one of my kind.
He motions to a guard, and he says, "You're to watch this closely." And he's pointing at Error.
I just happen to pipe up and say, you can talk directly to him. He does talk back.
And he looks over to you and says, "And what are you?"
I just look at him. I said, "Well, obviously a far more seasoned fighter than you are."
He says, "We'll see about that."
Yes. Considering your blades rather clean.
No.
So, what happened here,
We're...
other than being invaded by undead and jungle beasts? So what else has happened here?
You see, he kind of shoots a glance at Ord. Full side eye kind of at Ord. And Ord kind of says, "I'll leave this with you." And you do see there's a female human who's also kind of loitering around. But Ord makes himself scarce, so he kind of wanders off. Gonna go do something else. But this female warrior, or she's not really a warrior. She looks kind of like Ord did, right? She looks like kind of a seasoned fighter. So she's kind of hanging around Commander Breakbone, and he says, Commander Breakbone says, "So you're here to work in exchange for lodging?"
Yes, potentially help each other in the process. I'd like to discuss with you the reason why we're here and how we might best, I don't know, help each other. I already know that our current assets will be of assistance if you have wounded.
He says, we definitely have sick soldiers. We have we have sick soldiers now.
They're so
Our soldiers
sick.
are sick. He says we have soldiers who are ridden. They've some of them are weaker than others and have succumbed to the jungle diseases. And he motions off to this tent over here. And you do see activity from that tent. You can kind of like see some people kind of coming and going from it. There's they seem to be kind of ferrying small supplies, small amounts of supplies to in and out of the tent, bringing water, and you see kind of pails or small kind of bucket bowls coming in and out, and also kind of bed pans as well coming in and out of that tent. So he's motioning off to this tent, talking about the soldiers who have taken ill from jungle diseases. So he says, so if you have means of healing them, then I suggest you do so.
Well, we may not be cure-alls, but we might be able to assist. Callisto, would you join me?
Sure thing.
I asked, do you happen to know what happened to Camp Righteous?
Trying to decide like what he would share with you about that. He says that camp was ill prepared from day one. He says it was overrun almost immediately. He says, and then I was put in command of this camp, and as you can see, it's faring much better.
Yeah. What were they overrun by? The same things?
Very nice.
He says, yes, undead during the night and the jungle animals during the day, dinosaurs. He says, surely you've seen this activity yourselves if you made it this far.
Well, we've seen all the others except for the undead. This is actually the first time we've all heard of the undead. Now, obviously, Ulfgar went off to help diseased people, which I will stay clear of. But we're here because of this undead curse that is going on. Should I say to save the undead from their curse? We're looking for an artifact.
He says, that's no business of mine. He says, I'm commander of this camp. He says, my business is keeping this camp up and running and doing our best to reduce the undead population and the dinosaurs.
So you are associated with Port Nyanzaru? Yeah.
He says, we are the Order of the Gauntlet.
Just kind of look. I just kind of keep looking over this lady that's with him, and I ask, "Is this your bodyguard?"
She scoffs. And he like shoots her a look. And he says, Pern. He says, this is Captain Salhana. He motions her forward. He says, Pern. And then he says to you, this is Captain Salhana. She will be commanding you. And then he kind of pivots on his heel and actually heads back to his tent.
Thank goodness.
I just kind of look back at Tobias and Iraq. I was like, now you know why he doesn't have to fight. He's got this one to take up for him.
All right. So this guard wanders off. He's like, he was supposed to be watching Iraq, but he's got As soon
He's
as
very
Clara
concerned.
Commander Brightbone heads back to his tent. So, so Captain Sahana is a female captain, and she says we have a group about to head out.
Sorry, did you say she was a dwarf as well?
No, she's human.
She's human. Okay. Oh, she had the same armor as Ord.
Yeah. They all have so their armor all has kind of the gauntlet emblazoned on it, which Tobias, you notice, looks very similar to
The amulet.
yeah.
So meanwhile, I'm just looking for my pockets, searching for amulet. So if you are from the Order of the Gauntlet, so I think that belongs to you. I'm just heading out there. The pedant.
Yeah, she takes it and says, "Where did you find this?"
In the Camp Vengeance. In the ruins, what became of the camp.
Camp Righteous.
Camp Righteous.
And she, as you're standing there, she turns and she calls to a woman that's just exiting the tent where Ulfgar and Callisto are heading at you, and she says, "Sister Sias, look what's been found." And she holds out the amulet to her, and Sister Sias approaches and takes it from her. Sister Sias is, sorry, let me describe Sister Sias. So she is a priest. It seems to be dressed in kind of like almost religious Templar kind of gear. But she's also kind of when you look at the clothing and equipment that she's wearing, she's she's pretty disgusting looking at you because she's got like vomit on her hair and some other gunk that you're not quite sure what it is on her, cloak down there or on her like tunic, and she just looks like she's been hanging around with some people who are really unwell. So she looks pretty gross. So she kind of wipes her hands off, on her tunic, on the apron on her tunic, and takes the amulet and says, "Who found this?"
I point at Tobias. He needs a big hug.
She kind of smiles a little bit. She says, "Yes, my apologies for my appearance." She says, "There are many here who are ridden with disease of the jungle." And she says, "I'm doing my best to keep them alive." And she looks at you, Tobias, and she says, "Thank you for this." She says, "It means a lot to me." And you see her tie it back around her neck. And then she kind of hurries off on her way. So let's hold there for a sec. Captain Sahana is going to give you a task in a minute, but let's switch over to Ulfgar and Callisto, you're approaching the tent actually, and Sister Sias is just returning to the tent. Let me just switch her light. Oh no! Oh, mistakes were made. Sorry. There we go. So Sister Sias is just kind of in the tent here, and she's just about to exit the tent, and she sees you, and she's like, "Oh, who are you?"
I'm Ulfgar of the Emerald Enclave. This is Callisto of the Bear God clan. We're here to
help.
Yes, we came to help.
Oh, she says, "Oh, thank you. And she's kind of like looking up to the heavens and saying a quick prayer,
Ulfgar kind of
and
looks up. Just like expecting to see something.
and she says, your help is desperately needed. Do you have any means of healing?
We have some simple cures.
Then she says, please come in. Then, and you entered this. Well, are you going to kind of accept her invitation and enter the tent?
Yes, but
Yes.
I'm going to be very careful if there's a lot of mess or infectious-looking disease-ridden areas. I'll be prestidigitationing the heck out of that so that it's clean. um, and I would ask Callisto doesn't touch anything questionable just to keep her from getting infected as well.
Is there still a lot of bugs? Because I was thinking maybe we should put some incense out to kind of help clear them out.
Yeah. In fact, as you enter the tent, this seems to be like at one of the centers of the bug swarms. You see, so what you see before you is there are camp cots, right? As many as you can fit in the tent, and the majority of them are occupied by soldiers who seem to be quite ill, and the heat inside the tent is a bit more oppressive, and the smell is pretty disgusting. It's one of vomit and excrement and overall sickness. And the soldiers who are sick, kind of have insects crawling around their eyes.
Oh gosh.
It's really not a pleasant place to be. The soldiers who are in there are quite ill, and you see there's also, as well as Sister Sias, there's another acolyte in the tent with her who is, spooning water currently into a soldier's mouth.
Okay. So are you grabbing one of like the incense chunks?
Yeah, I think I don't know if we should put it inside or outside. I'm not sure if the incense will make it harder for them to breathe. But, I mean, these things have got to be, giving them more diseases. They need to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to purify the food and water while I'm here.
I'll start rolling up the sides of the tent to get some ventilation in and prestidigitation things as clean as possible, including the people. Because I figure before we start curing, we need to prevent them from getting ill again.
Maybe I'll set out a couple of, like, these bug bomb things, like, around the edges. So they're not right in the center.
Mm-hmm.
When you start trying to, so Sister Saya sees what you're doing. She's extremely extremely grateful. It's like Christmas for her, But when you start trying to roll up the sides of the tent, she says, "No, we can't do that." She says, "Commander Breakbone will have none of it."
None of what?
She says, "These soldiers are to be kept separate at all costs from the others."
Why?
Because they're ill. She says he is very afraid of the whole camp becoming ill and failing completely.
Very well. Then I'll open the ventilation at the ceiling. If they don't have air to breathe, they're not going to get better.
She says, "Oh, I understand." And you look at her, and she does seem to be like, kind of clericy looking,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's she helps you kind of make some ventilation gaps at the very top. There isn't a lot you can do there because the canvas does kind of, it's not like there's a separate canvas, but she'll follow your lead and kind of do what she can there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you guys are doing that. You're setting up some insect repellent incense stuff and trying to help out there. So then let's flip back to Erok, Tobias, and Valia, and Captain Sahana says you should find a place to stow your gear. She says, I have a group heading out on patrol shortly, and you'll be joining them.
Okay, what are we going to be doing?
She says, well, killing anything that needs to be killed.
We just like go around just killing everything that moves. I think I might be able to get on board with that.
She says, well, our job here is to cleanse the jungle of the undead, and if we have to defend ourselves from other encounters along the way, so be it.
I would ask Capitan, do you have any idea which direction we should head? Which the undead's coming from?
She says you'll be heading west for here. She says I recommend only taking enough food and water for 2 weeks and leaving everything else behind.
We'll be okay. But we do.
So you're expecting us to fight, to quote unquote cleanse the jungle without any gears of ours?
Oh, she says no. She says you should take your weapons, of course. She says but anything you won't be needing for a couple of weeks. She says you should leave here.
I just glance at Arak and Tobias. I think everything that we carry with us is everything that we need. We've been doing this for a couple weeks as well. We'll be okay, but we do actually need our other 2 companions.
She says, well, you might want to retrieve them then, because our patrol will be heading out soon. She says, you'll see, she said, the guards will, the soldiers who are heading out will gather at the gate. She said, so be ready to go when they gather, and you'll be heading out at that time.
Okay, are you accompanying them?
Okay, one more thing. Okay, Lisa, do you have them up?
Yes, I have them
up. I'm pointing at the location that we found with them on the map. We took out from the goblins. Do you know what this place is?
Is that? Hang on one sec. Is that? Do you want to switch back to the map and then you can?
It's actually directly north.
Yeah, that was directly north from Camp Vengeance.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Vaughn, is that what?
No.
There's a dot right by the R.
It'll be to the right of Vaughn.
Unnamed dot.
Yeah, right by the R in River Soshin Star.
Yeah. Okay. So you're asking her kind of what's there? Is that?
Yeah, what's there was if she recalls what can be here.
She studies the map for a moment. 1 second. Okay, why do you know? She says, hang on, 1 sec, sorry. Let me just find my notes on that. That would be why. Sorry. I'm like, why isn't this coming up? That's because I was spelling it wrong. So she says, yes, that's, she says, we're fairly certain that that's a goblin camp.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I wonder if they actually still did take Azaka and that's where she's at.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
a long ways to have to come back. There's somebody who may run off again. But we do need to go to Vorn. But right now, we need to deal with whatever they have going on. If we have to stay here for, I guess, I look around safety. And I call Flippy over and try to keep him close to me.
Commander Salhana at this point, Captain Salhana, not Commander. And actually, I need to give you control of Flippy so that Captain Salhana though says she says when you see the warriors gather here, she says just make sure to join that group.
I ask her, are you not going with them? And why is it the commander? Why doesn't he stay out of his tent very long? Is he a germaphobe? Is he afraid?
She says that the soldiers will be led by one of the captains, but not by me.
Yeah, you have to take care of the clean guy in the tent. Okay. We'll gather when we see them.
Okay.
I look at Tobias. I said, something's not right in this camp.
All right. Let's see. So what are you guys are you guys gonna kind of hang out until
I'm gonna walk over to about here and just yell really loud towards that tent at Callisto, and say, hey guys, can you come out of there? We have a situation.
I come out.
Yep. We're healing people, right?
Yeah, well, they're probably going to die anyway, but they're wanting us to go on a killing mission.
Okay.
They call it a cleansing mission, but, well, to be honest, it sounds more like a killing spree. They want me and Tobias and Arak to go on this thing, but seeing as you guys are part of the party, we should probably all stick together because something doesn't seem right in this camp.
I agree. That does seem strange that they just label it. Did they call it a killing spree?
Well,
cleansing of the jungle.
Cleansing, killing spree. It's the same thing, right? I mean,
Good.
they say they're going to kill the undead, but as the Captain Zahana says, they will kill anything basically that gets in their way. Healthy dinos, goblins I'm fine with because they're pains, but undead, we haven't come across undead yet. I mean, they're dead. How aggressive can they really be?
You'd be surprised. Still, I feel that we'd be better helped by trying to cure those that are ill and wounded here.
Oh, and did I mention that she wants us to keep all of our stuff here other than our weapons and food and water for 2 weeks?
Yeah, no. No, we're not doing
She was
that.
very adamant about us leaving things here.
Well, all right. Who is she?
Captain Zahana. She's back in the tent with the clean cat or the commander guy because they are not going on this mission.
Okay. Perhaps I go have a chat with them. I was hoping to get a few more people looked after before it came to having a conversation, but it sounds like we
Wow.
need to get some priorities straightened out.
Yeah, when we see a big group gathering at the front gate, that's when we know we have to go. So just letting you know ahead of time.
All
That
right.
tent really smells bad, by the way.
Yeah, we're working on
Just
that.
kind of walk back over where Tobias and them are. I tell Tobias, don't go that way. It's not good.
So you do see Captain Salhana is kind of standing in the doorway of the tent. She seems to be talking to the commander inside the tent.
Ulfgar would approach and wait to converse with her.
So she notices you and says, what do you need?
Further discussion needs to be had. It appears that we're to go out on a journey to cleanse the jungle.
Says, yes, a patrol will be leaving shortly.
What's the objective? And could you please be more specific than cleanse the jungle?
Oh, killing undead.
Right. Anything else?
If we encounter other aggressive wildlife, then that needs to go as well. Because if it attacks us, then surely we would defend ourselves.
What of the wounded and those that are here? I have no idea of the numbers that are in the camp and those that are capable and those that are not capable.
You're asking how many wounded we have?
Well, I mean, I guess how many I might have observed so far. I have no idea of the numbers in the camp. I'm kind of talking out of character right now.
Oh, sure. Okay. So, so in the tent where you guys were, you observed probably about 9 soldiers who, were kind of like bedridden, basically.
And how many people have I seen in the camp that seem to not be bedridden?
Oh, you've seen, there are quite a number of guards, kind of loitering around you see a guard in every watchtower, for starters.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see there are a few kind of loitering around the camp as well. And then back towards the tent, you see some kind of, not so much guards, but more like tribal warriors, who you see kind of going from between their tents, and they seem to be just moving gear around at the moment.
So maybe 20 people?
That's probably about.
Okay. How many people do you...
Plus you've seen Sister Sias, and you've seen at least a couple of acolytes.
Okay. So how many people do you plan on having go on this cleansing quest?
On patrol, she says, probably there'll probably be about, and she looks, well, she says, are you going? She says, or are you staying to heal?
That all depends on what we work out. Right now, we're just trying to help your people.
Well, if you go or not depends on how many will accompany you. She says, usually we send patrols of 8 out.
I just am concerned that if you're being attacked at this location and you send out too many people, you won't have enough to defend your fort.
At this point, Commander Breakbone approaches and says, commanding this camp is no concern of yours.
I agree. But we are still trying to heal those that are ill. And if we can, that'll reinforce the numbers and allow you greater flexibility. I don't see what a single night of us trying to help these people would do bad for you if we were to go on patrol starting tomorrow, perhaps.
He kind of leans back a little bit and says, so we're to adjust the schedule of our patrols to allow for your calendar to clear. He says, no, he says the patrol will be leaving, on time with 8 people. If you are one of those people, he says, then that's perfectly fine. He says, or you can choose to stay and heal the sick.
Well, the group that we've got sticks together, and as you've got ill here, we'll tend to those.
And he's looking over now at Iraq, and he says, I don't think this one will be tending to any sick. And he points to Iraq.
I kind of walk up by over here. I kind of slowly stroll over by Ulfgar.
I'll say, I'm not attempting to command your people, and I don't think that you can command mine. I'm offering our services to help your people, and if you'll take them, I'll gladly offer to help heal some of them, as best we can. But I don't think that we'll be joining you on your cleansing quest, unless you can wait for another day to go. Because we, I don't know about you, do require some rest in order to restore our curative powers.
So he said, so you're refusing to go out on patrol?
Before the people that are here that need curing are healed? Yes.
But your allies there, who will not be healing, are refusing to go out on patrol.
If they were to patrol around the camp for an evening, I don't see any issue with that. But if you're to separate us for multiple weeks at a time, I think that we would have problems. You see, they're my trainees. I need to keep them close to me. I am their commanding officer, in so much of a way. But they're also my friends.
He says, he looks at Captain Salhana and says, arrest them. And turns on his heel and heads back into his tent. And Captain Salhana
I look at her and I say,
Guards!
It would be best. It would be in your interest that you don't do this.
Actually, upon him saying arrest them, Ulfgar would immediately reply with, best you do it after we cure your people.
I go back at Tobias and we get ready, we have problems.
We're not here to start a fight. We're here to help the people.
Yeah, he's not. Commander Breakbone has tuned you out completely. He's back. If you look you can see kind of into the tent a little bit. He's standing over a table. He's not looking at all.
I cast suggestion on him.
Oh.
Oh no, that's not gonna be good. You can see your hand movements.
All right.
I'll say I'll cure what ails you now. Obviously, there's a dark air about you.
Are you saying this to Captain Salhana or Commander Breakbone?
Commander Breakbone.
Okay. So are you? What are you doing then? You're casting.
I'm casting suggestion.
Okay. And are you trying to kind of hide what you're doing, or are you?
I'm trying to distract Captain Zahana by, kind of telling her, you look like, you fought quite a few things. Why are you, why do you take orders from somebody who's looks like they've never fought a day in their life? They don't know what it's like to have to, just give her this whole spiel while he's doing whatever he's doing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, she's looking at you and like the look on her face is like, can't you tell I'm stuck with this asshole kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so then suggestion on Commander Breakbone. So he has to make a wisdom saving throw, right?
I believe so. Hold on, let me click on the spell here. There. I say Golhadov. And I'll try to make it look like I'm trying to, I don't know, lift a curse off of him, perhaps, if possible. I don't know, if I'm seen. I don't really want to be seen, but it's pretty obvious I'm being, like, arrested at this moment, so... I'll say,
Yeah.
I don't think you understand the authority the Emerald Enclave has in this area. You should let us heal your people and be on our way. And that's
We
what
just want to heal you. Now leave us alone.
Who'd have thunk it would have taken so much? What's your spell DC?
It is 14.
14. Okay. So he's got to make a wisdom saving throw. Let's see. Does he have? Let's do that for a second.
Oof.
Ouch.
Uh-oh. So hang on. When he fails, does he know that you tried to do that? On a failed save, it pursues a course of action. Oh, sorry. When he succeeds. Sorry. I'm not sure.
Well, I'd imagine if he saw me casting a spell, then he would be aware of that I was casting a spell. And
Well,
he probably would have
has-
felt some kind of enchantment trying to take hold of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he has his back to you, so he doesn't really see it. But yeah, I think he definitely kind of like you said, his psyche is is under attack a little bit. So he does sense that you're trying to command him a little, and that does not go down well at all. And he unsheathes his weapon and says, "Dwarf, you will be the first in chains." And at this point, Captain Salhana has yelled, "Guards!" So you do see guards kind of like rushing forward.
I'm gonna try to rush into the tent past her and
Oh,
try to grab him.
Oh shit.
I'm shooting my weapon.
I'm going to go ahead and go into rage and try to grab him.
Oh boy. Okay. So, Callisto, are you still in the tent?
Yes,
the
I'm
tent is-
still in the tent. I don't know what's going on.
So you hear this kerfuffle. What can only be described as a kerfuffle. Outside, you hear somebody yell guards. You hear Valia talking in a raised voice, although that's not too unusual. But you hear Ulfgar kind of like talking as well, and you see Sister Sias. Her eyes get really big and concerned looking, and then she looks at you, and she's like, her face is like, no.
If I haven't finished doing the bug stuff, I kind of hand it to her and I start walking away or running away, really.
Okay. So as you try to leave, actually, she's like, no. She's like, stay. She's like, she says, you'll be better here than mixed up with that mess.
Yeah, I know, but I kind of have to go, like, help. It's my friends.
She's like, they'll be arrested. She says, there are too many guards here. But maybe you can,
If I...
maybe you can help them if you're not arrested.
Do you think they'll not arrest me? Like, just for association?
She says, perhaps I can offer you some protection.
Okay. Then I will stay here and see what I can do later.
So you can kind of, some of the gaps that Ulfgar was opening at the top of the tent, you can kind of like peek through there if you want to keep an eye on what's going on outside.
I do.
Okay.
If it gets bad, then I'll rush out.
Don't forget you can change shape.
Oh, yeah!
That is true, yeah. Tiny mouse.
I'm trying to think. What can I change into? It won't get me killed, but I can still pay attention.
And Sister Sias is looking at the acolyte, and she's like, "Shh," she's motioning to the acolyte that they should keep you secret. Nothing.
A brown bear, obviously.
Actually, it might seem a little weird to have a cat in the jungle, wouldn't it?
Well, there was some goats over in the animal pen.
Yeah.
I can't be a goat.
Just can't do
I
it.
could be a rat or a mouse.
You don't want to be a goat.
I can't be a goat. I would be a goat, but
No, you could be a goat. It's not a high
You know
enough
what?
challenge rating.
so I kind of say to the sister that I'm going to hide myself. Don't get freaked out, but don't step on me either. And I'm going to turn myself into a mouse. So a
Okay.
little teeny tiny mouse. So I can kind of see underneath, but I'll be under one of the beds.
Okay. Yeah, totally. So, so when you do this, she's like perfect, like this, she, and because she was a bit worried about like how she was going to hide you, so this has taken like a bit of a weight off her shoulders. So Tobias, what do you? So Valia, you're trying to barrel past Captain Salhana, Ulfgar.
Yes.
What are you doing? You're
Resisting arrest.
Resisting arrest.
I'm
Tobias-
hoping that Valia gets to the commander so that we can
Okay.
hold him hostage to get out, but without
And-
any bloodshed.
I
And-
can't promise anything.
I know. This is why I learned healing word.
Tobias and Erok, what are you up to?
So I'm shooting my sword pointing on the captain. So that's what your hospitality looks like? In chains?
Okay, so you're threatening the captain. Okay, gotcha. So Valia, I think let me have a look at it. So I think we need to. You're trying to push past her, right?
Yeah,
Um,
probably a strength, isn't it? A
Yeah,
strength roll.
that's what I was thinking. Like a bit of an opposed strength roll there, because it's almost like you're trying to kind of grapple her out the way,
I'm kind of shoving her shoulder in, pushing her aside to get to the captain.
Just a
Okay.
reminder that was a save and not a strength check.
Oh, wrong one. I had
Much
That's
better.
Alright, she's gonna try and oppose you. She, and she fails.
eat dust, lady.
So yeah, you barrel past her. She kind of like stumbles, falls on her butt, and it's kind of
I mean, to be honest, she doesn't really like this guy, so I'm sure she's like, you knocked me on the ground. Ow. I'm just joking.
She's
So
also
she
the
is
one that
kinda-
called the guards.
Okay.
So you can charge forward towards Commander Brightbone. He does have his rapier out. No?
Yeah.
So
It's shiny unused rapier. It's so cute.
he's like pointy end, right? Pointy end goes in the other guy.
Yeah.
It's made of tin foil.
I got a kid's toy.
Okay, so you're gonna try and grapple him?
Before I try to grapple him, I'm going to tell him, this is your last chance. Let us leave. We don't have any problems. You come up in. If you don't let us leave now without arresting us, then you're going to have a lot of problems. And I can't promise that you'll stay alive. And then I'll wait for his response, and then I'll try to grapple him.
So I love that the grappling is gonna happen no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you can go free. I grapple.
No grapple. So so he's he just yells, guards! And some more guards do appear to be
Okay, I just shake my head, stupid man, and then I'll go in for the grapple.
okay. All right. Oh shit. Oh yeah, poor Commander Breakbone doesn't have a chance, does he?
Strength or
Nope.
dex?
No. So he's So you parry his rapier out of the way with your arm, just kind of knocking it to the side enough to. And how are you grappling him? Is it like kind of arm around the throat or?
Yeah, kind of like I'm knocking the rapier to the ground. I'm trying to get it away from him, and I'm gonna turn around, kind of like in a headlock, arm around the throat, kind of on the top, and tell him, "I can snap your neck, but I'm giving you a chance. I don't give people chances very often. This is your chance now."
He so the camp has kind of smelled pretty disgusting so far, but he actually smells like super edible. Like, oh man, like, you haven't eaten a person in a very long time.
An
And
MLT
it
sandwich
pisses
when
you
the
off
mutton is
so
nice and
much
lean.
that it's just really tempting just to take a bite.
I just whiff, take a big whiff. You smell a lot better than this camp. And have I ever told you? No, you don't know anything about me, but I'll tell you now. I do like to eat people, especially humans. You guys are so tasty, so much fat, and I like the fatty tissues. So awesome. I can nibble your ear right now. I'll take a tiny nip of the tip of his ear.
I'd say I cast suggestion on the captain.
I get off guard, moving his hands. Stop messing with my stuff.
Not the commander, the captain.
Okay.
Yeah, Commander Breakbone is like 2 seconds away from wetting himself, basically. Like, he's pretty petrified at this point. So yeah, he's not gonna be resisting you much. And he just kind of says, whatever you need. He says, just don't bite me, please.
I tell him, call your guards off. We will all walk to the gate and leave. My whole party, and you will leave us be. We will never come back here. You will never come look for us.
That's more or less what I'm telling the captain when I'm casting some suggestion on her.
All right.
Call off the guards and let us go.
Let's make
We
a
mean you no harm.
Wisdom saving throw for the captain. It looks like she fails, right?
Yep.
Okay. So,
she carries
so
it
what
out
do
to
you-
the best of her abilities.
So what's your suggestion to her?
To let us all go. We mean you no harm. And to call off the guard. I mean, yeah, I know it's kind of the same thing, really. So.
Okay. So she's kind of down on the ground, and she was just about to start standing up, and then you see her, like, her eyes kind of glaze a little bit momentarily, and then she looks up at you and nods her head like, yeah, that's a fantastic idea. I think you should just go. And so she actually puts her hand out like this, as if like, help me up, kind of
I'll
thing.
help her up.
Okay. So once she's on her feet, and these guards are rushing in. Tobias, is there anything you want to be doing while all this is going down?
Yeah, you see Ulfgar like helping her up. She called the guards on.
This guy's rushing in from over
I'm
here.
just for now rushing, waiting, ready for action. To rush in.
Okay. So Commander Breakbone says, stop. He's yelling out of the tent, don't harm them, and you see Captain Salhana, when the guards come rushing around the corner, she says, stay where you are, to the guards. And it's kind of like hostage situation, So, Okay, so then Captain Sahana. Sorry, I got tippy taps going on in the background here as she's my doggo. Captain Sahana moves out of the way, and Valia, I assume, or do you want to describe what you're doing with Commander Breakbone? You've got him like by the neck.
You might see Ulfgar shoot you a look quick and give you like a sense of urgency. Don't hurt him.
So I tell him I'm going to slowly I'm going to take my arms from your head, but I'm going to hold on to I'm going to walk behind him and hold on to his arm and tell him if you make a sudden move, I can rip your arm off and eat it really quickly. So we're going to walk out of the tent. You're going to tell your guards to go back to what they were doing, and we're going to walk out of here. And that's it. We're done with each other.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, so he's completely complicit with what you're saying. So he's kind of like almost ragdolly because his legs are not exactly functioning as they normally would because he's pretty scared. So,
and I tell him he's going to accompany us to the gates and see us off very nicely. I tell Ulfgar, get the rest of everybody ready.
Tobias, stay there. I'll go get Callisto, and I'll slowly walk over towards the tent where I had last seen Callisto, so as not to make any sudden moves for the guards nearby.
okay. So, yep, you head over to the tent.
I'll open the flap and I'll say, Callisto, it's time to go.
You look in the tent.
Yeah.
And you see Sister Sias and an acolyte, like, looking slightly like it's a mixture of guilty and wary and like they're just kind of, full of anxiety, basically. And they're just kind of there. And
I'll look at the sister and say, where did she get to?
I saw the whole thing, so I'm going to come out from under the bed and then pop back up.
Okay.
Oh, you're turning back into a people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew I could turn into a mouse, and I don't want to take that chance. If you're like,
So if you've never done that in front of Ulfgar before, he would be taken aback.
Yeah, no, I haven't changed before, so.
So he would be taken aback greatly, but then he would recompose himself and say, come, we've got to go. It's gotten bad.
But what about the people?
Leave the incense, sister. We'll do what we can to help you from afar.
Can I do a healing word at least on like a couple of them before we go?
Sure.
Or at least one?
Actually, I would do one as well. So let's both do a healing word or two. You could probably do two. I'm only going to be able to do one, I think. So I'm getting low on spells.
I will do mine.
So there's that. There's those.
While they're doing that, I kind of reach in my pack and pull out the goblin arm. I said, do you know what this is, Captain? Do you know what this is, Commander? This is a goblin arm. I ripped it off a goblin. It could be your arm. I just put it back in my pack.
Yeah, at this point, you see like a large wet patch appear on his pants. You know, he's like, yep, just loses control of his bladder, and
brutal.
You hear him like, you feel him like shaking a little bit. He's like, please just don't hurt me.
Commander, compose yourself. Look what you just did. Now you have to walk out in front of all your people like this.
You see, like, he's actually starting to cry a little bit.
I'm like, please don't cry. I don't like it when people cry. It doesn't make me sad. It just makes me more angry.
And he just, at this point, he just does not know what to do. He's like, the thought of walking out in front of, the camp, in this state, is just brutal for him. It really is just taking away everything basically that he's got, which is not a lot. It's crappy camp that's barely surviving in the jungle, and it's just yeah.
Right. I look at him and said, on a serious note, how many lives do you think you have saved yourself? How many battles have you seen?
You're having a big conversation with him now.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of conversation. Because I kind of a little bit feel bad that he pissed himself there. So, and I'm going to take him out in front of his people. So I want to know a few things.
You see the guards are kind of backing off as well, by the way, outside. That's what I'm doing, so don't be alarmed. They're not acting aggressively. They're following
They're all
Captain
confused.
Salhana.
Right.
Yeah, it's total confusion there, but they're following Captain Salhana's orders, and they're backing away. And you from Commander Breakbone, just this like sob from his from him. He's beyond having a conversation at the moment.
I just let out a sigh. I was like, look, compose yourself, get yourself together. Yeah, like I said, my deal is good. You go with us to the gate, you let us go and do not come after us, and you'll see us no longer. You go back to commanding your people. Treat them a little bit better, and especially the one that guards you. She does a good job while you're sitting here smelling like delicious meat in your little nice fancy tent. And I tell him, I grab, is there a blanket or something, a tablecloth or...
Yeah, he's got a camp bed in there.
I just grab the blanket real quick and I say, hold this around your waist and you'll be fine. We'll just say that I spilt your water on you.
So he's shakily taking the blanket. He's just he doesn't know what to do at this point. So yeah,
that keeps his hands busy holding the blanket, so he doesn't try to do anything. I say, we're gonna walk out now. Compose yourself, unless you want them to see you cry. I'm trying to give you a chance, at least, to save a little bit of face.
Okay.
Before walking away from the sister, Ulfgar would say, "Sorry, we couldn't be more help, but it's clear we're not wanted here by Summoned Authority." And he takes out what's left of the incense and gives it to her. Hands her all the incense that's left. Says, "Do what you can. Gods be with you."
Why are you going in my pack?
Sorry. I thought I had them. I give her my gourd of bug screen instead. Sorry. I knew I had one of the two. I couldn't remember which.
Here, take Callisto's stuff. She doesn't need it.
So she looks fairly defeated, but she says, "Thank you for what you have done," and takes the gourd and says, "This is going to be worth more to these men than you know." She says, "I wish you fair travels."
You as well.
We did manage to do a little bit of healing before we left. I don't know if that made a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you see that the soldiers who you cast a healing word on, it kind of where before they were on the bed, on the camp cots or whatever. Now they're kind of propping themselves up and looking around at what's going on, and generally seem in much better health. They've got color back in their face. They're swatting away the flies that were previously kind of crawling all over them. Those folks that you've healed, and the number that are left seem much more manageable for, Sister Sias and her small group of acolytes. So yeah, I think you can feel like you've definitely helped some people here for sure.
Like the commander.
Come a snack. You will be a snack. So yeah, he Valia, he just follows your lead and sees you all out to the gatehouse. Captain Solhana is kind of standing there, like with her hands on her hips, like, and she looks at him with disgust, kind of like, I have to follow you, kind of thing. Is the kind of the air you get off of her, and yeah, he sees you all to the gatehouse, and last thing you see as he's kind of closing the gates is this like horrible sneer of just absolute like he's moved from once you release it. Oh, well, I'm assuming you release it.
Before I release him, I lean in. I said, "Remember this, because I'll come back for you." And I just like lick his ear and like snap my teeth, and then kind of walk off.
Ulfgar would actually try to call to the captain. Oh, by the way, Callisto, you coming along with us?
Yeah.
I see you're still in the middle of camp. And I'd say, take care of your people. Don't be rash. And did I see any kind of gate mechanism? Like a lever or something like that they use to open or close the gate or secure it or whatever?
No, it's pretty manual. You see, I mean, they've got like a big bar that falls down across the inside of it to secure it at night. But aside from that, it's very manual. Kind of guards push them open, guards push them closed. So.
Okay. All right, then. As we're exiting, I'd say, quick to our boats, and then I would try to. I realize that this isn't happening yet, but my intention is to get to their boats and cast, what do you call it, Unseen Servant to untie their boats and push them into the river as we're running to our boats.
Wow. That's interesting.
I didn't say we couldn't go and get them. It's to prevent them from following us.
Okay. So, yep. So you can, definitely cast Unseen Servant. And it follows your command to untie the boats, and you see the boats slowly kind of. Here, I'll do it this way. Slowly head off in this direction.
Oh, sorry, I'm not scrolled over that far.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
I mean, the boats are just kind of slowly. This is downstream, right? This direction.
So it's actually going towards our boats. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. So boats slowly head that way, and last thing you see is Commander Breakbone is pushing the gates closed, especially if he sees you doing this. He just has this like sneer of hatred over his face.
Yeah.
He's moved kind of out of like fear into just loathing and hatred.
Running away.
Oh, that went well. Did we just head out into the jungle when it's about to be nighttime?
Something like that. I think that we need to head back to our boats, collect theirs, and prop them up on the shore so that they're not without them. But I didn't want them following us immediately.
Okay.
I think we should find an area where they won't track us down.
Okay.
At the very least, cross the river.
So, so you're at the moment though you're heading on foot downstream
to where we left our boats. Yeah.
To where you left your boats. Yep. Okay. And you see their boats are kind of like, the river doesn't move very fast. So their boats are just kind of gently keeping pace with you. One of them gets a bit caught up in some, debris at the side of the river, but that's the general kind of what's happening to them. They're slowly kind of, they get turned around occasionally by a branch that's, reaching down or what have you. But for the most part, they're just kind of bobbing alongside. So as you get as you get away from the camp, and kind of into the beginnings of like where you're kind of out of their sight, basically. You can see as you look behind you one last time, kind of the guards up on the tower and the gatehouse, kind of keeping an eye on you. And then a few more steps, and they're the leaves and the foliage all come between you and them, and you can no longer see the camp much at all. And it's almost as soon as you do that, you just hear this kind of slow clap from in a tree off to the side, a little bit kind of one of the first trees in the jungle edge. So you've got like the river to your right, and you're heading this way, and lots of like ground foliage, and then the beginnings of the trees. Just on low branch in one of the trees there, definitely not hiding himself as a male human, just slowly clapping at you. And he says, "Well done."
Does he look like anybody from the camp that we were just in?
No, not at all.
Is he dressed in their fashion?
Nope, not at all.
I look at Ulfgar. I'm like, what is this? Who is this?
I'll quickly mutter under my breath to Tobias. Would you be able to get a rock? Unless a rock is close by, I would ask a rock. But would you be able to gather the boats to prevent them from going too far downstream? I'd rather at least save them for the people. They'll need a way of getting about.
I just nod and Alex go on his way.
Who might you be? As, yes, Alyssa was pointing out.
So let's see if I can give a quick actually. We have this.
And
Let me show this to you. There you go.
Why, that's
So
artist Simber, of course.
This is the man you see. He kind of he says, "Yeah, my name is Artist Simba." He says, "Well done." He says, "I've never seen anybody handle breakbone with such efficiency. Usually, it takes much longer."
Efficiency?
I'm good at what I do.
And he says, "Wouldn't you agree, Dragonbait?" And
Ooh, ha,
oh no, you're not gonna. Oh,
So-
it's already up. Whoops, I knew that. And you see, kind of leaned up against the tree that Artist Simba was up. This guy here, Dragonbait.
Does Dragonbait
Yep,
look like a terrafolk without wings?
Yeah.
He looks. You've actually haven't really seen anybody like Dragonbait before.
Okay.
I just kind of look at him because he's really similar lizard-like. I just kind of tilt my head and kind of look around.
Does he look like a dinosaur humanoid?
He does look a bit like a dinosaur, yeah.
And I just kind of look around and I'm like, I was like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to stare, but I've never seen anything close to me or other than the dinosaurs. May I ask what you are?
How close, I guess, are you guys approaching them, or are you keeping a distance, or?
So kind of keeping a distance from them.
Yeah, I would probably have stopped upon them, making their presence known. Assess the situation before proceeding.
Okay. So you get Dragonbait doesn't say anything in return, actually. You just get this kind of he just kind of looks at you and like tilts his head slightly, but doesn't say anything.
I'm going to ask Artus, what's your association with Camp Vengeance?
He says, I'm glad you asked. And he's climbed down from his tree at this point, and he's just kind of approaching you, the group, in a kind of very casual manner.
I just kind of take a couple steps back.
He says, I was stuck in there for a couple of weeks. He says it took me a couple of weeks to get out of there. He's like, they arrested me almost immediately, of course. He says, and he says, I didn't escape until after, a good time had passed. He says, Dragonbait and I here thought that we were going to starve to death.
Why did they arrest you?
He says, because I wouldn't go on their patrol. Because I'm not wasting 2 weeks of my life on
Cleansing their murder spree.
Well, I can't say that our opinions differ in that. I at least believe that there's a balance needs to be held between nature and city folk. And I think cleansing everything in its path is not exactly the best route. Where do you hail from, Artis?
He says, the better question would be, or a shorter answer at least, would be for me to tell you where I haven't been. He says, but I've spent a fair amount of time here in Chult.
Why are you here now?
He says, that's the question I have for you. And he kind of
have orders to
he
do things.
Dusts off a rock and sits down, and he's rummaging in his pack, and you see him take out like a chunk of fruit, and he's just kind of munching it.
I have another question. How long did you observe our shenanigans in Camp Vengeance?
He says, well, I saw you wandering down the river with your canoes. He says, you're not exactly the stealthiest group, are you?
No.
Why did you not warn us then?
He says, how would I know that you're not part of the Order of the Gauntlet?
Well, if you were witnessing anything that just happened, you'd know that we're not.
Now I know, he says, but for all I knew when you were going there, that you were one part of their group and could have arrested me again. Says that was fate worse than death, not one that I want to repeat.
Well, they still have people there that needed help. Sadly, it's been made challenging with their commander.
He says, yes, Breakbone is an idiot. He says, his command of that camp is harmful to anybody who's there.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody who doesn't like to get their hands dirty themselves.
And he says, so what are you doing in the jungle?
Playing around. Frolicking.
We're looking for a woman by the name of Azaka.
He says, oh, never heard of her.
She hails from Nyanzaru? Is that the name of it? She hails from Nyanzaru. And was actually giving us a guided tour of the jungle. What are you doing out in this area? Obviously, you'd left this fort. Why return?
He says, I have a search that has kept me in the jungle a long time.
What kind of search? What are you searching for?
Well, he says, I still don't understand why you are here.
We're actually heading to Mamala.
That is one of our destinations, yes.
He says, oh, that's not too far. Where else are you heading?
Wherever the clues take us. And he gives like
Clues.
this really heavy sigh and goes, "We're looking for the Soulmonger artifact."
Here, let's switch back to the map at this point.
I'd like to insight check this guy and see
Oh,
if
yeah,
what
go
he's
for it.
saying is true or not so far.
Okay. Yeah, he seems to be pretty genuine.
Okay.
I don't suppose you could guide us to Mambala.
He says, sure. He says it's practically along the way. He says, I'm heading back to Orlunga again. And you see like a kind of look of weariness across his face when he says that.
Where's Uralunga?
Isn't that part of?
Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, wasn't that part of the thing that they said, Orlunga? That's the wise guardian
Ancient
of
city.
Orlunga.
Yeah, it's an
Oh yeah,
ancient
that's where
city.
we're actually going to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he says,
west of Mambala, Orlunga, yeah.
he says, I've been trying to find it. He says, I found Mbala, found the Aldani Basin. He says, but I haven't made it to Orlunga yet.
But we are heading there, so I say more the merrier.
I just kind
That
of
sounds good
glance
to me.
at the rest of everybody else, kind of like, I don't trust this dude.
Your friend doesn't seem to be much for conversation. Is he mute?
And he looks over to Dragonbait and he says, what do you think, Dragonbait? Should we hang out with these nerds for a while? And Dragonbait kind of nods his head like this. And are you guys still keeping your distance, or?
Yeah, I am for sure. I'm kind of, and I get Flippy and I kind of make sure, I say, Flippy, stay close to me.
What about the rest of you? Are you?
I've gotten a little closer.
I'd lower my guard a bit, but I'd still be curious about, I don't know, just meeting random people in the jungle, especially after our previous experience at Camp Vengeance.
Okay.
So I guess I'd be a little bit more at ease. What kind of weapons and armor do they seem to be using?
Well, so Dragonbait nods his head, and if you're standing a bit closer, you get this kind of waft of a scent of honeysuckle, actually.
I like that
smell. So as far as like what they're carrying, they have, packs. Dragonbait has a breastplate on and a shield. And you see also at his side he has a longsword. And Artis has. Artis also has a pack, obviously. He has studded leather armor on. And he has a long bow. And you do see a small dagger at his side as well.
Okay.
Which is actually kind of weird, because doesn't his picture, doesn't he have a sword?
I think he has a sword.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, that's a bit weird. Yeah, you don't see the sword on him, but you do see a small dagger at his side.
Okay. Well, I've actually seen this NPC picture used for a different campaign, so.
Okay.
Okay. So. I point to where our boats might be, just behind them for all I know, and say, we've got some boats here, if that's of any use. Otherwise, where to? I can't say that we're that familiar, as Azaka, as I previously mentioned, was our guide. She left us when we were at Camp Righteous, and we thought we'd seek to Camp Vengeance, since it was along the way and perhaps might have had some help.
So he says, well, if you keep following the river that way, and he points upstream, he says, then you'll be in the Aldani Basin. He says, Mbala isn't far from there, so we could take the river a little further. But it is a more direct route to go across land at this point.
Well,
If we go upriver, we'll be passing by the camp again. Just FYI.
that was kind of my concern as well, yeah.
Well, the other thing is they mentioned there's undead, so
Have you seen any mention of undead artists and dragon bait?
He says this area isn't too bad, but he said east of here is worse, and south of here is south of the Eldani Basin is worse as well, and you get this kind of for those standing somewhat close, you get this this weird smell of baked ham kind of wafts over you.
up with this dragon thing.
So these people smell awesome.
Yeah. I'm like standing back because I don't trust them at all. So I'm just kind of like, well, either way we go, we need to go soon because it's going to get dark. So I'll stay in the rear behind all of you.
I'll walk towards Artis and I'll hold my hand out like I'm going to shake his hand.
I just
Yeah.
shake my head.
He takes it heartily and says, "What's your name again, dwarf?"
It's not dwarf. It's Ulfgar.
He
And
says,
then
"It's a pleasure to be in your company, Ulfgar."
And I introduce the rest of the group. Each in turn and so on.
Okay.
I'll walk
Yeah,
over to
as-
Dragonbait and do the same.
As you're introducing the rest of the group, he puts his hand out to kind of greet each of you as Ulfgar is introducing you.
I just kind of hold my hand up like, oh, kind of wave.
We hail from different customs.
So Dragonbait, when you approach him, shake his hand. He looks at you a bit weird, and then he kind of like the penny drops that you're trying to like say hello, and he shakes your hand, and you get you can smell a little bit of lemon in the air.
A walking incense stick.
It's awesome.
So it's I mean it is getting after all the escapades at Camp Vengeance and you'd arrived there kind of like mid-afternoon. So it is kind of the sun is beginning to get pretty low in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
It's not dark yet, but it's not going to take a couple of hours, and it will be. Artis says, so I think the best course of action would be to spend the next couple of hours finding a good spot along the road to make camp, he says, and then we can put some miles under our boots in the morning.
Sounds good enough.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Travel for a couple of hours. Let me move back to your map here. So he's going to kind of lead. Select this dude here. So he's going to kind of lead you west, basically. So he's going to move you there. And yeah, I mean, you're still out of kind of visual range of Camp Vengeance. And then you guys find a nice spot and make camp for the night. So, yeah, Artis asks, have you got any food or beverage that you could share, perhaps?
Well,
We do have a jug of wine.
If If you don't mind me asking, I've been smelling different foods
And
coming
he says,
from
jug of wine. And
coming
he's
from your
like-
friend.
Oscar is kind of like a long memory at this point. And he comes over to Callisto and he says, fair lady, do tell me more.
I just kind of sit back far away from everybody with Flippy and feed him bits of, dried fish like I normally do, and play with his goblin hand toy. Just kind of keep an eye on these two.
Yeah, he's like, he'll do like tug of war with you, if you're like holding onto the goblin arm. And it's like,
Actually, I offer him my bottle of Tesh instead.
oh, okay. He will happily accept that. Yep.
And I should probably go hunting to get some food. I haven't done that in a while.
Okay. Yeah, you want to do a survival check? See what you can find?
What? We've got honeyed ham and lemons here.
Sorry. So yeah, you're able to find and hunt down enough local wildlife to provide for the group. And an artist Simba says, "A woman of many talents," as you return with dinner, basically.
While she's gone, I would still press Artis about the smells.
Well, he says, "Well, that's a very personal question, don't you think, Dragonbait?" And Dragonbait looks kind of like embarrassed, slightly embarrassed look, and he kind of shuffles off a little bit and is kicking around and in the fire and stuff. And
I'd like to find out if Dragonbait is real, because I don't know if he actually took my hand. Did he take my hand?
yes, he did.
Okay.
And Dragonbait stands. Wait, how tall are you, Olga?
Hold on. I thought I had it written down. I'm around a little over 5 foot. I think I'm actually pretty tall for a dwarf.
Okay, he's actually a little bit shorter than you.
Okay. I might be actually shorter than that. I didn't look up the sizes of the dwarves in the book, but I don't know. I guess I just stress the concern I would have about how I keep smelling food aromas and how that could be, a negative for traveling in the jungle. And I'd like to know the source of said food odors. I mean, don't get me wrong, and I'd press the digitation, a pleasant aroma of lemons and hams. It's I can do this as well, but I don't know that it's the same.
Archie says, "Oh, don't worry about that." He says he can keep it under control when he needs to. And Dragonbait, when you start producing the smells, at first when he smells lemon, you see his face kind of like perk up a bit, and then he smells ham, and he's like, and then he's looking at you, and he's like in a kind of what the fuck,
And
kind of
honeysuckle and stuff like that.
yeah, and he's. And then he
Well, I guess
seems
if that's the smells I smelled. I don't know if I smelled all three of those.
Yeah, you would have if you're
Okay.
standing like within their vicinity. Then you would have. But at this point, Dragonbait's kind of like he's a little bit insulted.
Okay.
Like you see him kind of. There's a little bit of like cold shoulder going on towards you.
Okay. Right. He doesn't seem to be verbal though, right?
Archer says, "Nope, not a word."
All right. How did you two meet?
He says, "Oh, we met a long time ago up in Port Nyanzaru. So we've been friends for decades. It feels like."
So it was last week then, eh?
He looks at you and goes, does the elbow. He's like,
Well, I guess I'd tell him, a bit more of our journey for the where we've been, stuff like that. Share information about it, but I'd be wary that he could be, what do you call it? Working for. Gosh, I got to look up the notes in here. I don't have it written down on this page.
I just kind of shout over to Ulfgar, be careful what your mouth flaps around.
Well, it's common knowledge so far. Nothing really that crazy.
Obviously not too common. Everybody we've run across has not heard of this thing.
Yeah, that's the problem. We need somebody that has.
Just ask him, say, artists, have you heard of anything about a death curse going on?
The Zentarum, that's it. I'm concerned he might be a Zentarum.
Oh, artist or
Yeah.
okay.
Or in league with them, perhaps. Maybe not Zentarum themselves.
Okay. I'm just trying to decide what his response would be to. He says, "I have heard of the death curse. Yes, because it's difficult not to."
What are you seeking? What are we calling again? Hold on. What are you seeking in Orlunga, by the way? You never finished telling us.
Says it's a long story.
We got time. We're resting.
Sad story.
We got time. We're resting.
He says, I can tell you're concerned. I don't blame you. After meeting up with those guys, and he's kind of motioning back to Camp Camp Vengeance. He says, after meeting up with those guys, he says, I wouldn't blame you at all. He says, but he says, my motives are my own. It's purely from, he says, purely for my own benefit. He says, doesn't really involve anybody else.
I'd insight check that. I don't know if that's actually going to help or not, but. Hello? Insight? Are you going to do the thing? Oops, sorry. It rolled twice by the time it did it. So it's the first one.
Okay. Yeah, he seems, Lisa, you're still kind of skeptical of whether he's telling you the truth or not. He seems like he's a pretty good poker player. Ulfgar, you feel like he's genuinely on his own mission. He's got something of his own that is driving him to seek out Orlunga. And it does seem to have a note of sadness about it, which is what you think is kind of preventing him from talking about it.
Okay.
Like he doesn't want to dwell on that, on what's forced him to be here. He wants to just focus on what he needs to do, on finding Orlunga.
Okay. Well, it's along the way, so, whoops. I would suggest, as we are unfamiliar with each other, that we take watch together. One of yours, one of ours.
So he says, well, tell me more. He says, or maybe I missed something. He says, you think that the death curse has something to do with this jungle?
No, an artifact located in it.
He says, what is this artifact?
I've
You
told
see,
you.
like,
It's the Soulmonger.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. My bad. He says, how do you know about this?
We were employed at Port Nyanzaru by members of the Emerald Enclave sent us here.
Yeah. Well, that's quite unusual.
It
He says,
it stretches far and wide.
um, he says, so why are you going to Oralunga then?
It's the last known clue we had is that someone there may know where we can
Oh, the
find it.
Oracle, he says.
You've heard of it.
Yes.
What can
He
you
says,
tell us?
he said, this is why I'm heading there as well. He says, I need to speak with the Oracle as well.
Is
On a
it
different matter than the death curse, though.
Lost someone you care about?
He looks at you. He says, you're very perceptive, dwarf.
So I kind of look at him and I say, I just kind of stare at him for a minute. And then I think back to, when we were in the city. And I tell Ulfgar, can I talk to you for a minute over here, away from everybody?
Excuse me.
I try to get out of earshot of everybody.
So just before we go into that conversation, Tobias, is there anything that you and Eric are up to while this chitter chatter is going on?
I'm just listening. Nothing to say and nothing to add.
Okay. And Callisto.
Because
Oh, go ahead.
I partially know your loss, Artus. Somewhat. Just growing at Arok.
Mm. Oh, so you're kind of looking at Eric while you're saying to Artus?
Yeah, exactly.
Artus says, oh, he says, this is an interesting companion you have here. He says, I'm sure there is a story there to be told.
And I'm introducing how Arok became this being and my entire story.
Okay. All right. So while you're telling that story to Artus, and he's like completely like amazed by it. He's like he thinks that it's a fantastic accomplishment.
If you say so. I
He says,
rather would call that about a burden.
And he says to Eric, he kind of puts his hand out to Eric actually to kind of shake Eric's hand as well. So, while that story is being told, Lissa or Valia and Ulfgar, you kind of step away from the camp a little bit. And
well, you had started asking Callisto if she wanted to.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. So Callisto, you've kind of returned with the spoils of your hunt. Anything you're up to while?
Nope, I just made dinner and just sitting there listening to everyone.
Okay.
Sipping a little bit of the wine.
Okay. All right, Valia, over to you then with your conversation with Ulfgar.
Okay. I told Ulfgar, said I knew his name sounded familiar whenever he told me, and I was trying to think this whole time where we heard his name. Do you remember when we were in the Temple of the Eyes and the Zentarum came in and they were looking for a certain Artemis Cimber? When they were talking to Zitimbe, asking about him.
Why, yes. Now that I read my memory. But please go on.
Yes, he is definitely not Zentarum, so we can at least be assured of that. He used to be part of the Harper's Guild, apparently, and they were looking for something he has. Maybe that's maybe whatever it is he has is part of what he's on this quest for.
Hmm.
But at the same time, Zentimbe, if we recall correctly, he was not interested in hearing about him or looking for him. But the Zentarum is looking for him. So the Zentarum's looking for him. We need to be careful. And as far as trusting him, I still kind of don't trust him. But at the same time, now that I've remembered he's not Zentarum, it puts my mind a little bit more at ease. But I want to know what he has that they're looking for. You're better at talking than I am, unless you really want to get it out of him.
No, I think that's what you usually like to do, is to really get it out.
So maybe ask around. You're better at being more subtle than I am. We'll put it that way.
I'll see if I think that we should share with him that we heard the Zentarum were looking for him.
Yeah, so at least he knows we're not part of them as well. I mean, I know we've already told him where we are and where we're from. You can never trust a lot strangers in a jungle, apparently, like what happened at the camp.
It may have the reverse effect. He may think we're Zentarum, but
yeah,
I think we should at least share that with him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I guess we walk back.
Yep.
Okay.
And I would say, so after our conversation, it had escaped my memory, and thanks to Evalier here, she recalled. I think we should share with you a little bit more information about why we're going to, was it Mambala? No. Erlunga, sorry. Is that we had come across what is he called? We came across Eshek, a man who told us that the Oracle would help us. We went to his local monastery, I guess you'd call it.
Temple of the Ice.
Yes. See, she's a good memory.
I can see that, he says. And he looks at Yuvalia and gives a little kind of nod towards Ulfgar and shakes it.
It's been a long day. In our visit there at the temple, it was noted that Zentarum were there, and they had harassed the elder in your whereabouts. I fear we should at least mention this information to you. I understand you may also be of the Harper's Guild.
You get this smell of baked bread from just wafting from Dragonbait's general direction. And Artis looks around at him and goes, "Yes, I know."
Ulfgar just kind of slowly turns his head towards Dragonbait, raises an eyebrow, just curiously what in the world?
So I say, we're not after you. We're not looking for you. Just to make that clear and put that out there. But I remembered about these details, and I figured we probably should mention them since we are kind of partied together at this point for a little bit. Can you maybe probing? But I kind of myself want to know, what are they looking for that you have? Is that what is? If you don't want to tell me, is that what is sending you on this quest?
So Artis looks at Dragonbait again, and Dragonbait gives them a look back, and suddenly you smell baked ham again.
Oh, Jesus.
I just look at y'all making these faces. I'm like, what are you doing? Because I'm not anywhere close to them. So this whole time, I'm not smelling none of this.
And Artis says, I think they're fine. He says, "You've got Dragonbait." He says, "I understand. Friend, I've got them." And then he turns back to you and says, and takes, he's wearing gloves, and he takes a glove off and puts his hand forward like this. And you see on his hand. I think is there a thing for this?
I will say that you said he puts his hand forward like this. Your hand wasn't anywhere on screen.
Oh, sorry. He puts his hand forward. He's
Okay.
just kind of holding his hand out. And this sucks because I don't think I can share this with you without showing you all the details. That's fantastic. But it's just you can see he's wearing a ring, a fairly kind of heavy ring. You can see glints of gold in the ring, but most of it looks like it is covered with frost. And he says, they're looking for this. He says, and then you can see like immediately he has this like pang of like regret. He says, and I'm already feeling like I shouldn't have told you because you knowing that I have it can put you in danger.
I agree. Put your glove
Yes,
back on.
but you might want to put that back on. That looks not fun. Good God, man, put the glove back on. I'm like, I agree, but at the same time, if we're going to be sharing camp and we're going to be traveling together, we need to be able to trust each other. As you see, I don't trust you guys. No, not to be, well, that's just how I am. So, but it's best that we at least get some details out that we can, maybe help each other out if they do happen to come looking for you. As I've discussed with Ulfgar, just having you here, we're already in danger before you even showed us that. So at this point, we're committed. If they come, they come, we deal with. I can eat plenty of people. I'm up to eat anything, so it's okay.
When you say that, he kind of looks a bit wide-eyed, like, oh. And he says, oh, I hope I'm not on the menu at any point.
I haven't eaten none of my party members yet, so you're safe.
Okay.
I did make the commander wet himself. That's why he was holding a blanket around his waist, just FYI.
He kind of chuckled.
And Ulfgar would explain, it's customary for lizard folk, as she is of them, to hold when something is dead, it is still useful, and food is that. So, simply do not die, and she'll likely not eat you.
He says, and here I was thinking that my presence was putting you in danger.
So, what do they want of a man's hand, anyway? And he just kind of gives him a wink. How have you come to be in such trouble with the Zentarum? I understand they've got hooks everywhere, but here we are, Harpers in Emerald Enclave, crossed paths on a similar quest.
He says, well, if you've got something they want, they're not exactly the group to ask nicely for it. Because they want this ring. But they can't have it. So it's over my dead body.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that, because I'll try and keep her sated with food rations. Hi. I'm being stared at by a pug.
Right.
So are we approaching Mbala or not?
Yeah, I think lots of conversation, obviously, and eventually settle down for the night. And you said you're doing watches, or
Yeah, I would imagine this time, like one of us and either Artist or Dragonbait, and then another of us and Artist and Dragonbait. So that it's not just them staying up and us going to sleep, because I don't think any of us trust each other 100% yet.
I'll take first watch.
okay. So do you want to kind of describe your watches to me, and then I'll let you know if anybody needs to make
I
any
don't-
checks or anything.
Who's doing a watch with me? Actually, I think I might transform myself into a panther and then just circle around the camp. Maybe go up into some trees, look around.
When Archie sees you do that, he looks at Dragonbait and goes, she's lucky I'm a married man. Okay, so you're doing first watch as a panther with.
Yes.
And is anybody staying up with Callisto?
I want to take last watch, and if you don't mind, I actually need a bathroom break real quick. So, sorry to say so.
Mm-hmm.
So does the one of the new guys want to take a watch with me? That probably would work best.
I do.
I'll be right back.
So Tobias, you're gonna take first watch with me?
Okay.
Sorry. Artis and Dragonbait will offer to stay up with somebody if they want some company during their watch.
I guess that leaves me for the last watch.
Okay. All right. So let me just check counters. So yeah, actually, the night passes without incident. Each taking a turn at the watch. It's the normal routine now of the jungle sounds kind of reach a cacophony as the sun is setting and then settles down to a gentle hum during the night. Artis and Dragonbait seem like they've been traveling companions for a long time because they have their own kind of routine that they go through. And then morning breaks and sun rises and everybody is alive and well and rested and ready to go. The weather did kind of pick up during the night. There was some kind of heavy rain at first, but now it's still raining, but not nearly as heavily. It's kind of just a normal pitter patter at this point. And neither Artis nor Dragonbait seem particularly bothered by this. So if you're willing, then Artis will lead the way and takes you further west to kind of going beyond. He's gonna take you that way, kind of just skirting around Vengeance and and actually the day itself passes without incident. You definitely see, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of signs of wildlife around, and you do see dinosaurs in amongst the undergrowth, but you don't encounter any aggressive ones. It's kind of the case where they're like more afraid of you than you are of them. So they just kind of dart off when they hear you coming. So then so he's gonna move you out to there. Okay, so then and again, you're doing the same kind of watch routine?
Yeah. I take it was uneventful while I was gone.
Yes.
Yay.
What watch are we
Karen, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry. I didn't get it work. So yeah, he takes you the day of travel. So usual night watch routine, and actually that night passes also without incident. Do you want to do more hunting, Callista?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe not.
Yeah, so not quite as successful as the last time, but still pretty good. So you're able to all get a meal off that for sure.
Hooray! I'll be sure to flavor it.
And as the day goes by, actually, you're kind of getting used to Dragonbait. He's he seems to have like the sense that you get from him correspond with what he's thinking. And so
He's thinking of baked ham.
oh no, sorry. So so if he's concerned, then that's one smell. If he's happy, that's another smell. So or correspond with his mood or emotion, I should say. So that's that's the feeling that you get as the day goes on. That these smells are are specific. They're not just kind of random, random smells.
Okay.
Okay. So then settle down for the night in the same watch again. And actually, once more, the night passes without incident.
Hooray.
So there is, though, you do have to take cover during the night because the weather does pick up to again kind of very like tropical storm kind of weather. The wind is lashing. You're not able to kind of you know use any kind of tents or covers to protect yourself from the rain. Artists and Dragonbait find a small outcropping and huddle against it and encourage you to do the same. Yeah, I mean, it's not really, it's more of a short rest than a long rest, but I don't think any of you have any kind of lingering damage anyway, so it's not a big deal. But it is, you don't get a lot of sleep that night because you spend most of it kind of huddled against the rocks to try and take cover. And you see, it's actually, it's crazy. You've never probably seen anything like this, especially not this close and personal, because the trees just whip wildly during this wind. So yeah, I take that back about the night passing without incident because it does have kind of, it's not an encounter, but it is a thing that you have to kind of deal with. So, okay. So then the next day, 1 second. Oh my gosh, the tippy taps.
I've got the other one on my lap, so.
She's just being stubborn. All right. So the next day, when you wake up in the morning, the rain is continuing. The winds have died down a bit, but it is still very heavy rain. Yep, you're continuing about your journey, and then during the morning there is an encounter. Bum, 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 bum.
Oh.
Just need to find out what to do.
We run into a bunch of soldiers from Camp Vengeance. That were heading west.
Bring it on.
To fight the undead menace.
Okay, so
or anything else that they find. Actually, we might be okay, provided it's, not the commander. But I don't think he'd be out in the forest or in the jungle anyway, so.
The commander was such a whim, so either way, no threat.
Okay, so you're, let's see, actually this goes away. Whoop. Because you're now traveling
Fog of
into
war removed.
unknown territories, previously unknown territories. Okay, so, and then I need to do this. So, okay, so okay. So let's see. So you're traveling through the jungle. Artis is up ahead of you, and at one point he holds his hand up like this. And anybody standing close to Dragonbait gets the smell of violets. So he holds a hand up, and then you see him look, and he's kind of motioning that he's gonna go forward. So he's kind of motioning to you that he's gonna go have a look.
Who, Artis?
Artis is, yeah.
Okay.
I kind of make a weird face, as weird of a face as I can at people, like, what's that smell?
Dragonbait looks like.
I guess the first time I smelled this, I don't know where it's coming from. Like, I'm looking around at the ground and stuff.
Dragonbait looks quite embarrassed.
It's got a gas problem.
So Artis kind of, you see him kind of duck down into the undergrowth, and he's then kind of moving very quietly forward. Are you all gonna stay where you're at, or are you gonna follow him, or
I'll stay.
Okay.
I guess I'll follow.
I'll stay.
Okay. Valia, could you make a stealth roll for me, please? Thank you. So you're fairly quiet, and moving forward, and Artis then goes, "Oh," and just stands up, and goes, "This guy's gone, long gone already." And he points, and it's you see body of a human, slightly up ahead.
Yum.
I slowly walk over to it and pull out my javelin.
Shish kebab. I think his name was Bob.
So as you get kind of close to it, you see that actually it's missing its lower half. So the part that's there is just from the waist up. It's does not have any. There are no legs present. So it is
at least if he would rise from the dead, he would not be able to follow us.
Yeah, very slowly, like.
I kind of like poke at it a little bit with my javelin and like kind of flip it over and kind of look at it a little bit more and look around, and I tell the guy, I'm like, he doesn't have any legs, so he's not coming after anybody anytime soon.
And his artist points at the undergrowth and says, "Yeah, you can see here. He's like, this guy crawled for quite a way before he, before his lower half went missing." And he comes and he looks, inspects like the body a bit closer, and goes, "Yep, that looks like a tyrannosaur to me."
A tyranno what?
Tyrannosaurus, big guys, sharp, pointy teeth.
Don't they all have that?
There's not these Vegisauruses over here, and he's kind of motioning to off in the jungle.
So I take it this is something we'd rather not experience, and this being the results of experiencing it. I would like to avoid the Tyrannosaurus experience.
He says, and he looks at you and he goes, your height down in one.
I giggle.
Thanks.
And he says, same for you, Dragonbait. And Dragonbait just kind of like scowls at him a bit.
Give off a certain smell, does he?
Might be a little bit of baked bread.
I mimic the same thing in baked bread at Artis as well. With prestidigitation. A faint sensory effect.
He says, "Oh, he can see you casting this, right?
Right.
Because, yeah,
Yeah, it's like I wait for
Sorry.
Dragonbait to respond with his smell, and then I just imitate that at Artis as well, and kind of scowl the same way.
He says, are you making fun of my friend?"
No, I'm agreeing with him.
He says, well, if there's nothing else, we should be on our way.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not into getting eaten by other reptiles.
Well, I'd like
Me
to at
either.
least check for an any information or maps or goods that this person has on him that might be of use to us.
Yeah, you can empty his pockets pretty well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Turn him out.
you don't find too much of use. He doesn't have any weapons anymore. Whatever he was carrying seems to be long gone.
Doesn't have much of anything left, really.
But inside his coat, which you find there's like he's got a pocket inside his coat, and it has a charter on it. And the charter identifies the corpse as Lord Onovan the Fourth of the Dales.
Would you mind typing some of that?
I could do that. Hang on, I just copy paste. How's that?
That's perfect.
Copy paste. There you go.
The Dales.
Okay. Hey, remember some time ago, Tobias had scrounged up that scale mail off the dead Order of the Gauntlet guy, and we had been mending it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd like to ask Tobias, do you intend on using it?
I wanted to put it on Income Vengeance, but after what we have here, so
I was just wondering if you are going to wear it, perhaps we should remove the identifiers of it. And maybe some armor might help keep some of us alive better. Considering Lord Onovan the Fourth of the Dales, as I hold up this paper.
Do disclaimer that I have any IDs?
Wait, that was from the. Where was that from?
The guy that we pulled out of the latrine.
Oh yeah. That's Order of the Gauntlet. It does have the gauntlet symbol on it.
I'm sure we could remove that.
And you notice actually as well, while you're talking about symbols, the charter that this guy was carrying actually has let me see if I can show you this. Hang on. It does have a symbol on it as well. Which looks, hang on, I gotta switch over. Oh no, just stay there. Has a symbol on it that looks like that.
A fiery fist in the middle of a diamond shape?
Let me scroll up a bit, like that.
Ah. Interesting. Okay. And What is a charter, by the way? I mean,
It's,
so far it's a piece of paper with his name on it and this symbol.
yeah, it's kind of it's like a conscription or something like that. It's you can't make out any further details than that, though. It's pretty much been destroyed by the weather over the last few days.
All right. Well, I take that with me, and any other unique items he might have, or is that it?
That's pretty much it. He's wearing kind of nondescript clothing. This charter was really all that he had on his personage that was of any interest.
Okay. Does his corpse leave a trail that can be traced back?
While you're rifling through his pockets, though, could you all make a perception check for me?
Uh-oh.
Hang on. Core perception.
Do you want to do one for Erok as well?
If you want. Do that.
Actually, and I'm going to do one for Artis and Dragonbait as well.
All the perceptions.
No, you don't have. Oh, boo. There isn't a macro for. He has a really.
It's just wisdom.
One sec.
They're both obviously trained in that and have their extra bonuses on perception.
I mean, who?
There's no macro for this, really?
Jeez.
What?
18 plus 30, 13. Holy cow.
They both have the same. So Artis is kind of like standing there with you, going, trying to figure out what this guy is about, sorry. So he's standing there, and Dragonbait is standing a little bit behind you, and suddenly, where like previously Dragonbait's scents have been like, just kind of a waft of something, it's like a wall of scent just smacks like everybody in the face, and it's like really strong scent of violets, and Artis immediately turns round and says, "What?" and just takes a second to kind of take in what try and figure out what Dragonbait is going on about. And let me see. And Valia, at the same time, you feel it. The ground is like, it's this kind of vibration, this rhythmic like vibration of the ground.
So she's got like her flask of wine. She's like,
I just tell everybody, whatever probably ate this guy is not gone. We need to go hide now.
And Dragonbait is nodding his head.
Something's coming. We need to hide now. I'm just going to kind of scurry back off where we came from in the underbrush and just kind of crouch down.
And that is where we will leave it. Yeah, Dragonbait's going to be right behind you. But we will pick up, what is the cause of these vibrations in the ground, what Dragonbait is so scared and worried about and fearful of next week, hopefully.
Hopefully.
I'm a fan of this.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you all. Some interesting party additions now.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody that came out to watch, and for those that may be watching this on the YouTube channel. So we'll all see you guys next time. Stay here a second, Zoe.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Okay, bye.